I guess tune in next week to see what we're doing next week. Oh,
We're doing part 2.
Part 2, which is.
Guess we'll do a preview of.
Yeah.
What is the name of the one I chose? Tomo-chan.
Well, if you don't know,
It's a good show, I swear. What's the name of it again?
I don't know the full title. I just know it's.
I don't. What show did I try?
I swear it's good. And I swear I watched it, fellas. I just can't remember the name of it. Okay, buddy. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Otaku podcast, where a bunch of nerd friends gather together bi-weekly, and we discuss what we did, what we saw, and we discuss a major topic point from the week. I'm your host, Miles. Ray's giving me a look like I'm already straight up already.
Your hosting is your intro, brother. It's up to you.
So I'm Miles, and once again, we join on the podcast is, of course, Frank. Hello, Frank.
Hi.
And today we have Ivan join. Hi, Ivan.
How's it going?
Okay, so
I don't get an official hello? I'd like official hello.
I thought you were going to add yourself in later on. Right?
I gotta redub everything.
And of course, the man of the hour, the man who really drives this podcast, Ray. Hi,
I
Ray.
just threw him under the bus.
It's fine.
Hey, Teddy threw me on the bus early before we started, so it's okay.
Makes him stronger.
Yeah, like a saying, he'll get no. He'll
Think of the
get
power
like
level.
It's over 9,000.
I was waiting for that joke.
There it is.
So I guess we'll in this week, or I guess we're gonna it's a kind of like a one of two-parter. I guess we're gonna review 4 shows from this winter 23 season. But we're discuss 2 of them today and 2 of them next week, or 2 weeks from now. But before we get there, we'll start off by seeing what everyone's been watching or playing. Frank, do honors and let's go.
Oh, what an honor. Well, I've been playing Fire Emblem up until Ivan reminded me that I had to start watching the anime.
Oh, was this the anime this week?
I was, because you know the text, it said the 25th, and I'm thinking, oh, we're barely in March. We just started March, and then I was looking at the date. I'm like, oh crap! So I had to stop playing for a bit. I'm watching. Well, I watched the homework we had.
Homework, that's funny.
Very important homework here.
That's it. That's basically what I've been doing.
Still enjoying Fire Emblem? Having a good time? You hate it? Like it? More or less?
No, I still like it. I have I keep thinking about what you said the other day, one of the episodes where something about the ending. I'm like, damn you, damn you.
I didn't spoil it.
That's a gist of what Ray says all the time. Damn you.
I'm just it's in my head. I'm thinking about it.
It sucks.
I'm stuck with it.
It's not good.
But then again, I think, it's Ray. He hates everything, so
Yeah.
True.
it should be fine.
But you know I'm right.
I haven't said that. It's Ivan who agrees with you.
And the world agrees with Ivan.
Ivan, I'm finding out that he's super negative, just like you.
That's why we're friends.
I can see how,
See the hatred flow between each other, kind of.
Yeah.
What don't
Makes us stronger.
Doesn't a negative make a plus?
Exactly.
Yeah, but not with me.
We cancel each other out, just like in Trigun later on.
I mean, it's good for you too. It's not good for me. I need like breaks. I need a little positivity. I need, it can be a crappy show, but
and that's
still,
why we're bi-weekly, Frank. Bi-weekly.
They are.
You get that breather the next week.
So is that it for you, Frank?
Yeah, still enjoying Fire Emblem. I think I'm playing it a little too much because my eyes, they
blood,
burn,
just a little blood squeaking.
they burn sometimes.
Oh, okay. The two focus on the strategy.
I have a big headache the next day. I don't sleep.
True gamer over here.
See, just do what Ray does. Don't sleep, and then you're fine.
The battery will die out before you do.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. Not too much.
Okay, Ivan, what you been up to?
So since the 3DS store is closing,
Sad.
Pour one out for the homie.
I've been playing the Yokai Watch games,
Oh, okay.
trying to get the QR codes, I guess the DLC codes that you get when you buy the game digitally. You can get like the special yokai or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the bummer is though that you need to like beat chapter 2 of the game because the game is broken down in chapters, and that's like 4 or 5 hours of gameplay just to get to that point.
Yeah.
So I've been, oh my goodness, it's tough. Just to get that stupid code. I'm like, well, I bought it. Here it is. Let me, you know.
And I always say with DLC like that, when you buy something, it's like, yeah, you want to use it after chapter 3? But it's like, but I'm in chapter 1, and there's like 10 hours till chapter 3.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you got it. No, you bought it. And then it turns out it's just an early unlock for something you get eventually anyway. So it's like, I spend money for what reason?
Yeah. So, so I bought Yokai Watch 2 and I already got the code for that one. I bought Yokai Watch 3. I got the code for that one. That one was long because it has 2 characters. So it was, the tutorial was pretty exhausting. But the games are fun. And then I got the Yokai Watch Blasters, and I was just doing that before I came here today, and I'm just like going just
smashing your way.
Like let's go, come on, we gotta go.
The shop closes it. I got one more day.
You need like
TikTok,
a macro just to keep the pressing button for like a turbo button. Just to keep pressing it.
Come on, we gotta go. We only have time is of essence at this point. So and it sucks because I know Ray recommended me to get the DLC for the attorney games, but you need to play some of that too. You can't just buy it as like son of a gun and have to make some sacrifices here at this point.
Nintendo had some weird, I mean, it kind of made sense back then, kind of, with the idea of like, you know, Nintendo didn't, you know, because DLC was like, ooh, evil curse word DLC. Oh no, money spending on more video games. So it's like the idea of like, well, you have to really be, you know, you don't want the kids to spam like the credit cards on the iOS devices and this and that, right? And make mom and dad go bankrupt. So it's like, you have to tuck it away. So the game, but when you find out like, oh, I have 1 week to like buy everything if you want to preserve everything, or eventually at some point sit down and play it, it's a pain in the ass, like you said, you have to spend, because I know the Fire Emblem has the same thing. To access the DLC, you have to get so far into Fates and an Awakening in order to just purchase the DLC. It's not like these days we just go scroll down DLC, purchase, and you're done. It's like, no, you got to finish the story beat in the game and then get there, and then you still have to pay. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it sucks. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to the DLC of the attorney games. I just won't have time. And then I lost my train of thought. Yeah, but it sucks. It's a lot of, I mean, it's fun at this, I don't know, it's annoying, but
if you want to play them, now's your chance.
Yeah.
And by the time this podcast, it's over. It's done. The Wii U and the 3DS is dead.
Yeah, so it's been a good run.
We had a good 10, 12 years, something like that.
Yeah, like rough around then. You know, I know. And there's like, I guess for us, it kind of seems like a while ago, but it really isn't if you think about it compared to all the other systems we've been through. You know, it's like very like, you know, when I go through the DS games, it's like, oh yeah, this is more like 10 years ago at this point. You know, but it felt like it's like barely like 5 or even 4. You know,
you're delusional, my friend.
I'm also gonna get the DLC for Fantasy Life. I think that one you can't just purchase it. And then there's another game. If Monster, gosh, what's the name of it?
Hunter?
No, it's the same company that made Yokai Watch. It's the game everyone's been talking about. It's basically like a monster's like attacking the city, and you're just playing like a little.
Oh,
kid.
Attack of the Friday Monsters.
Yeah.
Level 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, a lot of level 5 games you have to get. No, you want to get them now because I don't think those
are good games that who knows if they're ever going to see a future port on the Switch or PC or anything like that.
Yeah. So everyone's talking about that game, so I need to buy that game. So I mean, it's sad. I am sad. The 3DS is my favorite console to date, and I think it kind of brought me back to video gaming. So it has a special place in my heart. So just like you can basically play Pokemon Gen 1 to 7.
Right.
Every game
pretty much.
And it's just a gaming powerhouse. I guess people say it's like the last true Nintendo console.
Old school for sure, yeah. No, it is crazy because it's been a long time, but it kind of like same thing. Miles doesn't feel that long, but it has been, and it's funny because the 3DS had like a terrible start, just terrible. No one liked it. Way too expensive. No real good games on launch. And then they had the ambassador program. They cut the price to $180 because I think originally on launch at $250, something like that. And then they gave up those 10 free GBA games, and those were still exclusively only that way because they never like released them on the eShop or anything like that. So if you're a hardcore collector, you want to find a 3DS
Like this
owner,
guy.
there you go. Or if you're real cool, you were like us, it went to Walmart that same week, got the discounted, and also got the Ambassador games for free. So that was a good play on our part. But yeah, it's just we talked about it when we had our bracket, March Madness bracket of game consoles, and 3DS went pretty far. And every time it was just like Awakening. It has Awakening, so it wins.
Yeah.
That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, and it's like already passed.
And it's funny because I just did the same thing this week, referring to make sure. Do I have this game? Do I have that game? Did I did all the DLC from Fire Emblems? And then I made sure I put on Awakening, and then my biggest problem was like, Awakening, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's here in my hands. Maybe it's time for a new run. Maybe.
That's cool. And then for me, it's like Pokemon because
Yeah.
basically, as I said, you can play every gen, 1 through 7 there. So, and even like the Pokemon games, like they're like the last true Pokemon games because now like the newer games are just kind of exclusive for its own game. Where in Gen 6 and 7, you can still have like all like 750 whatever they were at that point. So trade get Pokemon from Gen 1 because you can get the digital
Right.
the virtual of Gen 1 through the first 2 gens.
There's the first 2, I think.
Yes, and then you can get those Pokemon, transport them to
the other games, to
and-
the bank and the thing and the
Yeah, who knows?
I remember seeing that flow chart and I went, "What the fuck is this?"
yeah.
That's
so-
weird because once that thing goes down, like, does the bank still work, or you're kind of just screwed?
In
at
my
that point?
understanding, it still works. It'll still work in the future. That's my understanding. But that what they say and what happens are two different things. But supposedly that'll be saved, and then I think also the updates for games will also be available still in the future. But how long that future is I don't know. And that is another thing. I'm gonna download these updates, and then because some of the games I didn't buy because I'm like, I want the physical just for the hunt of looking for the new games around here and there, something to check out and explore. So yeah, but at some point they're gonna close down everything because why do they want to spend money on a server to keep this information that no one can no longer really use? There's no profit for them as a company to keep it up, right? So at some point they're just gonna pull the plug.
Yeah. But that's been my as far as and the homework how Frank said.
A lot of homework this week.
Yeah. I guess I'll go next. I'm taking a break from Awakening because I have some issues once again, both gameplay wise.
Well, it was nice having you, brother, on the podcast.
I wanted to hear your update on that.
I'm stuck, but so
You could choose your different units, and you could.
Yes,
okay.
right. I know.
You
choose my
still
units.
remember that? Okay, cool.
I got it from last time. I got it. So I actually took a break for once, and I went to read some manga because I had the Viz Media stuff. And since we've been talking about it the last couple of weeks on the podcast, I read up to currently the Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man. Well, and without trying to spoil it too much, I feel like Chainsaw Man is the most promised of the two because there's always I think there's a fight between both of them right as around the community. Like
Which one's the popular one?
Yeah. I think Chaz most promised because it does a lot of things differently than other ones. Not like kind of like the same thing, kind of like My Hero, but it does a lot of things for being a Shonen Jump manga. A lot of things I'm surprised I actually got away with because, a couple of chapters I have to read online because apparently you can't read it through the app because they're too explicit for some reason. Because I'm like, I think it was chapter 59, and it says,
Not 69?
No, sorry, right.
Nice. Or not nice.
So it's like, oh yeah, you can read it on the web. I was like, what do you mean I can't read it? And I was like, oh, it's too hot to put on in the app. I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense considering there are other images in the like gory stuff going on. But this passes, but this doesn't. It's
iOS rules maybe.
I don't know. It's a weird like, for a lot of things about a guy they're being chainsaws shredding people up, and it's like, oh, this is a no.
Were you shocked when you saw the pictures?
I wasn't shocked, but I guess for a minute, I know I never read it, but it kind of reminded a lot of Berserk in a way. No, because
it reminds me of a thing I've never seen before.
Well, because I seen panels of Berserk. It's a very more artistic, like it's more art, like say other mangas do. It's like there's not really much bubbles. It's more like look at this, him shredding, fighting and stuff. But there's no words involved. It's a lot of like action, And that's kind of the few panels seen in Berserk. You see him like screaming out, or big giant sword, or armor that eats him, things like that. It's that kind of visceral kind of imaging, it's like this is art, right? Rather than like, it's like your simple like shonen manga. It's like this is like way. It's almost like a seinen kind of title, kind of like a more like I would say more like adult title, but it still somehow managed to be in Shonen Jump. It's very neat, kind of like what's the line between, because
right.
It's like skirting just enough to still be shonen, but it's like we're once in a while we're gonna show some things like, whoa, I don't think little kids should see or like teenagers seeing, like they're not used to it, right? Because it's not like a Shonen Jump type magazine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it has the most problems because it does a lot of unique things. It does. Because it divides into some parts, kind of like JoJo. It's part 1 now, right? Currently in part 2.
And it has like new lead characters.
Yeah, it has a new lead character. But Denji's still around, but he's no longer the focus anymore. He kind of,
and it's still called Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, I mean it is Chainsaw Man, and he does show up frequently enough to kind of like still be like, I'm here, guys.
Should I even say, is there a new Chainsaw Man?
No, it's actually a completely different
character
type of thing, but it is surprising because it reminds me of like JoJo. Like it's kind of like the same. Time moves forward a little bit, but we're switching protagonists, and this is the more main focus. So I think it's interesting to point that part out.
Kind of reminds me of Hunter x Hunter.
So it's terrible. Couldn't help myself.
Wait, how?
Because Gohan isn't the focus.
Oh, okay.
But I guess it's also like Dr. Stone too, because that's also in parts, but not as, because you're still following.
I say we're getting all these spoilers here today, or kind of because I only saw like the little bit of Dr. Stone. It's like, okay.
But no, it's divided into parts. I guess I'm trying to say.
Well, I gotta get back into that.
Yeah, because I think part 3 is gonna animate this year.
I want to.
You watched it?
I read like the first chapters when it came out, and I liked the concept a lot. But then the problem is the juxtaposition of the show of like, I'm a man of science. I will now show you how to make soda pop and make a floating thing and this and that with real science that you can actually apply in the real world. And also, here's this guy that can punch a tiger in the face. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, it's too jarring, and my brain goes.
Well, the thing is, like, it's kind of it's trying to like disguise like this is a shonen manga, right? But at the same time, here we teach you something.
Right? Yeah, they have to. Someone has to punch something real hard to justify it being in Shonen Jump, which makes sense. But it's just my brain struggles with it. But I kind of want to get back into it.
I don't know if it's because I watched it in English dub. I'm really curious to watch it in Japanese. But what bugs me about it is that, okay, he's like this smart, because scientists are very picky about because you have to be exact on your formulas and all that.
Yeah, right.
Well, he always says this phrase like, I'm 1,000,000,000% sure, and I'm like, no, you're not. Stop saying 1,000,000,000% sure.
Oh yeah, that's his like catchphrase.
But that's the
believe it.
That's the catchphrase you have to say is shown the protagonist. You had to have a catchphrase.
I would understand it if the not smart guy would say that, but him, like, no, you should know better.
It's a
like,
little silly, but I guess that's the
once you get to those.
Well, I said there's a lot of caveats. It's like you can see in that manga, like oh, this is because we put it here because the shonen part of it is here, but no, the real meat of it is actually the science. It's like, but kids won't really pay attention to watch a science book, right? So it's like, but look, see if this guy punched a tiger really hard, so you'll watch for that, So that's why they, they have the scenes like that, but it doesn't make any sense really. And you kind of, to me, I feel like just like just to move the story forward and push it to the side.
To me, my thing was like, how can he know everything?
He's just that he's a good scientist. God damn it.
Like, I'm like,
super genius.
Do you really know how to make an antibiotic? Do you really know about glasses? Do you really know all that?
Big nerd.
He's 1,000,000,000% sure.
Exactly.
Like, that's but I don't know.
It's fun. It's silly fun. It's interesting because it's just different. And hey man, as a person who watches a lot of anime, and which I'll probably get into later on in this podcast, anything that you see something different alone is just refreshing as an anime fan.
Yeah, but it's like, I guess just to go back to Chainsaw Man for a little bit before we moved on. The only problem with Chainsaw Man is that there's so much action stuff going on. Seeing how much, right? When we seen the anime, there wasn't really much action because it's very kind of stiff, right?
Yeah, the CG. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how, unless they have like a a big giant studio budget, how they're gonna animate any of the later part, because it like a lot of stuff goes on, like a lot of action, like people flying, things going,
Right.
like just budget wise, how are you gonna animate this in a normal anime budget?
Well, I think they can because Mappa is the same studio that did Chainsaw Man, also did Jujutsu Kaisen, and despite my feelings about Jujutsu Kaisen, the animation when it needs to be amazing was amazing. But the problems with Chainsaw Man, it's like, well, we'll just make when he becomes the Chainsaw Man, we'll do the 3D CG and save some money that way. But once again, we'll talk about this later in the podcast. It doesn't always look as good as the traditional methods, and so I don't know. It could be pulled off, and I don't know. Chainsaw Man's like out of the newer shows is the one like I'm the most excited about. That will hopefully they haven't officially said it, but I'll talk about that also later on the podcast. Other shows coming back, but I don't know. It's the out of the 3 popular current shonen jump title. I think they're all shonen jump titles. That's the one I'm most excited about. So I am curious.
Yeah, so it's that one has a lot of promise. Now back in Jujutsu Kaisen, I did read up to where we are at, and I have no idea where the heck we're going. It kind of reminds me of like Bleach in a way, because I know as we've seen Bleach or rewatching it recently, of just like we don't know, we're just going to just go places.
More characters out of nowhere.
Well, but I guess what helps it is that you have you get to a point where you realize none of this really matters. None of the characters, no real. I mean, there is a main character, right? But even you're supposed to be invested in the world more, like how
Right.
And all the techniques and stuff like you like to translate to Bleach. So like the curse technique is basically this their Senpakto ability, and then their Bankai is their domain, and then it literally does, like, I kid you not, literally does the same thing. And it's time everyone was all through our Bankai, and it's like, well, I'm bringing Bleach.
How many captain lieutenants are there?
A lot.
Too many. Too many.
And I said, and just like even later on, because they move like so many different like angles and stuff now. Is like I don't know where we're going with this. It's. I mean, I'm still kind of on the fence, but it's the way they're doing certain things. It like reminds me of Bleach. Like we're just, or not Bleach, but maybe like what we seen of Hunter x Hunter. Kind of like.
Whoa.
So terrible. So it's the worst thing. Just burn it down.
But I mean, the fact that you could fill them up when a plan changes. Like the correct. I'm gonna go up the tower. We're just gonna go and just gonna fight Hisoka right now. Like you kind of feel in Jujutsu Kaisen in a way, but I guess they just just don't care, or just like
I thought it was refreshing.
Yeah. And then that's the thing, like, and that's a problem. I feel like newer, like I think we mentioned before, like newer mangas. Like, I feel like everyone's like trying. Well, it hasn't been done to death before. Here's the three characters. They're all friends, and then this is the squad, and the squad's gonna do all these things. It's like I'm gonna change it by just being random. But I don't know how much, like, how could this keep going, right? I guess because it's like kind of spiraling out of control in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I kid you not, some people lost powers but got powers back and then got powers.
So Bleach.
Yeah, I'm saying it's Bleach. It's Bleach, but Bleach at least gets away with it because it has style, right?
Well, that's always the thing. Bleach is nothing but style. And
I feel like other than like certain characters' abilities, you can go, oh, that's kind of neat. I feel like we're just tossing characters and it don't matter because they're either gonna die soon or they just fade to the background, So it's like it's kind of a mess. And with that, I conclude my week. And now the man of the hour, Ray. Go ahead.
Okay.
Man of the hour. What?
Apparently,
I didn't get the memo.
I don't know. He's hosting. I mean, I want to see more flattering things. But go right ahead, I suppose.
I would have brought you chocolate.
So for myself, there's 2 things I want to talk about for my week. That was not part of our homework assignment. Was 2 games actually I wanted to talk about last week, but we ran out of time, so I didn't get a chance to talk about them. The first game I played a little bit of was Persona 5 Strikers, and I'm not sure if I said it on the podcast or not, but huge fan of Persona. All right, I think we mentioned during our favorite games. Persona came up a few times, both 4 and 5. So love 4 and 5 quite a bit. And I really wanted to play Strikers. Finally made the time, sat down and play it. It's a continuation story-wise, but it's a very different game gameplay-wise. It's not the turn-based RPG that everyone knows, Atlas form. It's done by the Omega Force people, the Samurai Warriors, and was it something?
Hyrule Warriors. And
all the other spin-offs. They did the Fire Emblem one too, the Zelda one, and everything else. And I really haven't played many of those games, so I didn't know what to play. But it's like, oh, it's Persona 5, and it's a canon story, and has like the same voice actors and this and that. So I'm like, all right, sure, I'll sign me up, I'll play it. So I've been playing it a little bit, but it's been a while since I played it last, and it's just weird because it's one of those, like, when their cutscenes are happening and the story's happening, I'm like, oh, cool, this is what I want, Persona, my anime story beats and this and that. And the continuation of the story, which is, like I mentioned before, I like when stories continue and progress changes and this and that. And so you get more of that world in this game. But when it comes to the gameplay part, where it's just the very mindless hack and slash, smashing, tapping buttons like a lunatic, it just didn't really jive with me. And I can like those games, like, your Devil May Cries and your God of Wars, but they're like, the combat, I find them like a little bit more satisfying, and like, especially like when it comes to like Bayonetta stuff like that, it's it's more complicated in timing and pairing. Well, here it feels like you're just smashing buttons all the time, and then they send you like bigger soldiers that you have to wombo combo them like more. But like, I just find the combat not interesting. Like, it's just, I wish there was more juggling fools in the air and whatnot. But it's just not really there. So like I said, it's been a while since I played it. I'm hoping tomorrow I'll get a chance to go back to it, and I might have to make a decision if I'm gonna actually keep going on that game or
watch the cutscenes and call it a day.
It just might just go on YouTube and make my life a lot easier.
Like the Q and Q2.
Yeah, because those same thing with those Persona spinoffs of like, oh, I think it's cool. Oh, you meet the roster of all these other games, but man, I really don't want to play the game gameplay wise. So. I don't know. I want to sit down and give it more shot, but it looks great. They did a very good job of recreating the world of Persona 5, despite it's a different staff and this and that. But they did a pretty good job, like I said, recreating that world. It doesn't feel very jarring. They try to keep the cool artsy vibe and the music. Yeah. They got the same artists doing new songs, so it does feel like it's part of the same world. It's not like, oh, you could tell this is the B team or whoever else is a different studio doing it.
Yeah, because I know I seen when you played it a little bit, I was like, are you playing Persona 5? No, this is Strikers. Like, oh, I can't. I swear I couldn't tell the difference because it looks like just like the cafe, everything looks exactly the same. Like, oh, this is just 5.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's that game. And the other game I want to mention that I got a little bit more into and was a little bit more excited, despite I haven't gotten to it because it was on homework. But I started Ace Attorney, the Great Detective Chronicles, Great Attorney Chronicles, something Chronicles. That's
the game's never released here on the US.
Yes, the, I guess, somewhat prequel, but not really prequel spinoff of the Ace Attorney games, where you play as Phoenix Wright's ancestor, Mr. Nodohodo, his course, which is the Japanese name. He's in Japan. But this takes place, like, I think in the late 1800s or mid to late 1800s. It's, before the Meiji era, but like right before the Meiji era, for those who know your Japanese history. So the Western, the black ship has arrived in Japan, and foreigners are now coming in and out of the country. So it's a different time setting, but it's pretty much the same gameplay. You play as kind of an attorney. The story hasn't gone there yet, but you're basically gonna get there from what I play, because I finished up to the first 2 cases. It's got a very similar setup and character vibes to those that you've seen in previous Ace Attorney games. The same gameplay. It's very entertaining. It's the same. It looks pretty good on the Switch. Wait, is it only on the Switch? Maybe it is only on the Switch. I was going to say PC, but I don't think so.
No, it's on. If I know if it's on the Switch right now, it's the moment.
Yeah, so very entertaining. Pretty much the same. The newest mechanic that's in the game that's not in the previous Ace Attorney games is the deduction areas now. Because in this game, they introduced a new character called, what's his name? Herlock Sholmes?
Herlock Sholmes.
Yeah, a very obvious parody of Sherlock Holmes, of very famous. Which we talked about in the podcast
which
already.
Is now for use now, so I don't see why they can't use it now. So
I think that, and I'm assuming that's why it never came out west, because they were like scared, like, we're gonna piss off the Westerners. How could you do this to our favorite? Because in this game, he's kind of like a baffling idiot a little bit. He's like,
as most Westerners are, am I right?
Yeah, so you have to, during these segments of gameplay, you have to, like, he'll make these deductions, but they're all like a little bit wrong. Like, oh, this guy killed him with the right hand, but it's like, which, not Sherlock, he's left-handed, or, it's always the opposite. Like, how could he done it if it's clearly not that? And so you have to do the correction segment and this and that, and it's got a little bit of flow. It's kind of neat. It's still basically the same, nothing too crazy, but, it's a little new gameplay, and I find that story be a little bit, the writing's still solid. I laugh at the silly anime bits. It knows where the story is. and it knows how to twist and turn like all the other plays. So the writing's still on par, and the humor is still just as good. And yeah, like I said, looks good, plays good, and I'm pretty excited, and I'm happy about it. And hopefully I'll get a chance to get back to it. But we still have our other homework for next episode as well, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, the hard choice we make, right, brother?
The things we do for our podcast, for you, our listeners.
Okay. I guess before we move on, I guess any news anyone wants to share around the table?
Well, the only thing I could think of, we only have 2 more days for the 3DS and the Wii U store to close. So
yeah, the Wii U too.
Moment of silence.
Everyone's like,
Moment of silence.
The Wii U. The what?
Yeah, I know. Everyone's like, what about the 3DS then? Wii U? Is that the add-on for the Wii?
Yeah.
I thought it closed a while back.
Because we love you too.
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah, it's funny. I'm waiting for when they have the Switch and the new Switch. I'm waiting.
Super Switch. Calling it now.
Yeah, just call it. Just make it official. End it.
No news for me. Just doing my homework.
Well, for me, I wrote a few things here that I want to mention. Most of them are kind of quick.
A quick shout out.
Pretty much. So one thing I noticed, I found that Kodansha, a very popular big Japanese manga publisher, is making a new app called K-Manga that comes out on May 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you mentioned it there, Miles, that you were reading manga, and I'm hoping, I haven't said yet, but I'm hoping it's one of those things that where you could just pay a subscription fee and have access to all their catalogs of manga, because they have quite a bit. Like
well, they have like probably 80% of most
they're
that's not Viz Media.
Yeah. Well, Viz Media is the licensor for the West.
Yeah.
This is the Japanese company.
Yeah, but
well, they have a Western comparison. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they have the other branch, but because the Japanese company, right? So they have access to things like I wrote them down: Rent a Girlfriend, Blue Lock, and Fire Force, and a bunch of other things. So it is a big publisher. Yeah. They're gonna have old manga and then current manga. So hey, for those people who want to look for legit ways to read new current manga, there's a way. Yeah. Don't have to pirate all the time.
Did you say Rent a Girlfriend?
Rent a Girlfriend, your favorite, Ivan. Your favorite. He's a good guy. He's just misunderstood, I swear.
I swear, God, one day I'm going to read it out of spite, and I'm going to hate myself for it. I can feel it already.
Don't, just, there's other stuff. Acceptable bad. Just don't.
The little I've seen or read, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. This guy's terrible. Let's fuck this guy, basically.
Have you ever watched the South Park episode where they're going down the sea and James Cameron was saying how low?
Oh,
that's Rent a Girlfriend. If you think it can't go any lower, it will. So please just save yourself the despair.
Well, there's more than Rent a Girlfriend, I hope. Hopefully. Let's see. A quick ones. Story Seasons: A Wonderful Life is coming out on June 27th. I know we talked about it when we were talking about favorite video games, and that I know Miles here is the big Harvest Moon / Story Seasons. Once again, Story Seasons for that game, the real Harvest Moon.
I think if I remember correctly, I think you get, I want to say a moose. Because every time there's a super edition,
I want to say it's a goat, but there's always some new little animal plushie. Yeah,
every time you get the deluxe edition, they give you like a little new plushie.
Gotta catch them all. So yeah, that's exciting as even a very casual fan, but that was my favorite one, so very excited about that. Ray Zero gets a 3rd season. Yay!
Oh, darn.
See how many more times we could kill poor Subaru.
Yeah, over and over and over. It still hasn't learned his lesson. Nope.
One day he'll figure it out. But yeah, no date on that, but that happened. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, fella. Everyone's after that right when you talk about Miles, why can you not be excited? That actually comes out on apparently July 6th and will be the 2 cores, as the cool kids call it. So like 24 episodes, basically.
Yeah, well, they're going to cover what they're going to cover, and then we'll see what happens afterwards.
Maybe it'll be better than the Zero movie, where Shinji has to show up and save the day. That guy's just Shinji. Let's see, more anime news. This is actually a pretty good one. For those who are familiar with Dragon Ball and the manga behind it, Toriyama, Sandland, the very old, like, it was like a kind of like a 1-volume like story thing, is actually getting an anime movie, apparently in Japan, and that comes out on August 18th. No word on the Western release, but hey, as they printed that and translated in English, and it was pretty good. So I actually am excited about that one. What else? I have 2 more things. Speaking about Persona 5, so there's a new Persona 5 spinoff called The Phantom X coming out in Asia. In China, apparently, and it's going to be some kind of mobile spinoff. Supposedly a gacha thing, because that's like where the money's at these days, but despite all those terrible negative descriptions, it looks really good and looks like Persona 5 yet again. So it's like, part of me wants to get excited, but also not excited, because I really don't want to keep dropping hours and money.
I know how to get your phone to play that game. So just let me know. I know everything.
I was curious about that because I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, apparently it's a mobile game coming out on your mobile devices, at least in Asia, but
that's
maybe here.
Because that's what the kids want. The kids want to play a mobile game,
and it's the way. That's
it's
how I
the
want to play my
future
game.
of video game as we know it.
I'm not gonna play it.
I'll wait and find out, but probably not. And then my last thing, actually probably the most exciting thing for news for myself, but obviously as a Sonic fanboy, of course I am. Sonic Origins Plus got announced, and what this is a like added on DLC for the original Sonic Origins, which was the collection of the original Sonic games on the Genesis, so Sonic 1 to 3 and Knuckles. Oh, and CD. And CD was on there. So with this new add-on with the Plus, you're going to get new modes for those classic games, like I forget what they said, like time trials or something.
I think you get Amy too. I think Amy's.
Well, yeah, I was going to mention that one. So there's like new modes for the regular game. There's the Game Gear games, all the Sonic Game Gear gears are going to dump on, which is like, okay, I guess. And they're fine, I guess, but hey, whatever. And like you mentioned, Miles, Amy will now be a playable character in all the games, which is definitely a first. So I'm kind of curious to see how that works out, but that's it. They're adding shit that was not there in the original game. And that add-on will cost you $10 if you own the original, like myself. And there is a physical release that's coming out for $40, and it comes with a little art book. So if you're a Sonic fanboy junkie, you can.
We all know Ray's probably gonna buy.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it again. Yeah, I'm an insane person. Hello. And you could buy it again, and I will be on June 23rd. So
I'll see you
on the line. I'll be that first guy with the art book being, yeah, I'm a sucker.
I think I have another last news too.
Oh,
news.
That I just saw that they're making a second season for Horimiya. I don't know.
Oh, is that the one with the guy who's like looks like a nerd, but he isn't? I think that's it. The fashionable guy. He's got like piercings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I did see that. I'm like, oh, I watched the first season.
I hear it's good. I read like a little bit of the manga like forever ago.
I think you will like it because a lot of the things that you don't like about the romance animes, this one doesn't do. But a part of me didn't like it because it was like too fast.
Well, I think that's why. Because that one thing is what they're gonna cover parts that weren't covered, right? New anime.
That's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, because that's why I read earlier is that they're gonna cover things I guess between the ending and the
what really?
Yeah, so they're gonna go back. It's like kind of like Amagami, kind of in a way.
That's funny. Remember what happened? What did? And then you see the wave marks, the watermarks, and flashback.
Yeah.
Oh, Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Well, that's such a millennial reference.
Pretty much. We're all old men here. It's all right. So I'll get my cane.
Well, I don't have news, but I have a question. Are you gonna get the Zelda, the special edition?
I have no desire. Miles maybe does. I don't.
Get it. I'll buy it from you.
Wow. So my favorite that translates.
That only works with Fire Emblem. That only works with Fire Emblem.
Frank's like, so if you're gonna pre-order, can you get?
You want a Sonic? I got you Sonic. Sonic Plus. You want Origins Plus? I got you, Frank.
Let's see. For me, just a quick shout out that you can watch all the Mayone Battle Network anime that I was telling about. You can watch it now on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And on Twitch. For some reason, that one was a new one to me, but you can watch on YouTube like Sailor Moon and everything else. So it's just that good, everyone. And they announced today that because I know Ray's gonna give me the look. I'm gonna say this right now. The next Love Live School Idols Festival 2 is coming out on April 15th.
2, not 3?
Well, that's the second one because the other one, they closed the other one this week or next week. They're gonna close it down.
My God.
So there's that there, and here Ray's giving me this disappointed look on his face.
The same look I give you every day.
Yeah, and I guess we'll move on from the embarrassment. So I guess we're now ready to tackle our part 1 of our multi-part series. We're like Attack on Titan. We're just final.
Oh God, please let's not go that long.
So today we're going to tackle 2 anime that we all watch through the winter 2023 season.
Maybe we should explain how we did this, perhaps.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ray.
Okay.
Well,
what a good host, passing the buck.
I'll get on to the real host of this thing after.
Going to arrest me for robbery, stealing from poor Miles here.
If I give it to you, it's not stealing.
There you go.
Giving you an assist.
Okay, so basically, this obviously is the first time we're doing this here on the podcast, and so the way we did it this time, and who knows, maybe we'll do it the same, maybe we'll change it up. But basically, since there's 4 of us here, and So each of us picked a show out of the current season, but I guess the rules was that it'd be a show that was ideally going to end this season. From far as we can tell, it wasn't going to be, and it was ideally going to be like 12 episodes. It wasn't going to be like, okay, we got to watch One Piece. We're not starting One Piece this month.
Damn.
So, and it had to be new shows. It wasn't like old continuous of season 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever shows. So they're all new shows and they're kind of somewhat short, I guess. So we each picked a show. We all agreed we'd watch said show to completion and then discuss it. And then I think at some point we'll have a spoiler discussion. But in case those who are like, oh no, don't want to be spoiled, we'll put timestamps and give you forewarning when we get there.
We're there.
They're all dead.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with the easy one. I guess the nice soft one before we get to the real one that can
Easy.
gonna be for a while. Oh yeah. So we're gonna talk about the ice guy and the cool female colleague.
His cool female colleague.
Yeah, that's a very mouthful to say out loud.
So this was my pick this season. So maybe I quickly explain why I picked the show. So I drew the short straw, I guess you could say, and I had to pick a show that was going to end in time for this podcast recording today. And so that left me with 3 shows to choose out of that list for that fit the criteria I explained earlier. It was this show, I don't even know what it was called, the Isekai one question mark about the guy who becomes a princess and he steals a girl. That was in episode 1 to then become his helper question mark with flying magic. I don't know. So that didn't pass the test. And then the other one that did give a run for money was the Oni Mai, I think it was called.
The I didn't highlight the season that people are saying.
I don't know. It was interesting, but it was a very colorful, like bending, silly show, but also maybe had like real feelings behind it. But it was too much of a I don't know which way it's gonna go. And I figured this is our first time doing anime reviews, and more than me is going to watch it, so I try to pick something a little bit nicer and softer. And so that left me with the third choice here, which is once again the official title. Just got to scroll my phone. Ice Guy and His Cool Female Colleague, which is apparently based off a web manga in 2018 and is done by apparently 2 studios, Zero G and Liber, but apparently Liber or Libier, I don't know how you want to pronounce it, have never done anything but the show. But Zero G, the only show I recognize them for is My Roommate is a Cat, which is one of the things I reviewed on my channel on YouTube. Hey!
Wow, synergy.
Self-plug-in, I guess.
Wait,
question mark for a dead YouTube channel.
Is this a long, elaborate thing to bring back your old channel back?
Yeah, exactly. It's surprise, it's out today. Yeah, no.
Or is it?
Or is it? Oh, you don't know. You have to like and subscribe today to find out.
Yeah. Tune at midnight tonight and see on the midnight channel. See what happens.
And if the music went do. No, and then I gotta have huh? Gotta be careful. So yeah, that's my pick, and I guess because of my pick, I guess I'll do the synopsis. I guess that's what we're doing.
Okay, is that what we're doing? Yeah, sure.
Okay, I guess that's what I'm doing. So synopsis. So episode 1, you're introduced to, I guess, the main protagonist question. Well, really, it's funny because like the show starts off with her, but she really isn't the main protagonist. I'd argue the other guy is. But you meet and Fuyutsuki, and that's the funny thing. I don't think anyone has a first name in this show.
Well, because they're in business, man.
Right. So all the names are just the last names. So it's Fuyutsuki who is the cool female colleague who is
very stoic and very kind of just...
Yeah, she doesn't show emotions very easily. She's very calm, cool, collected. Just that's why they describe her as the cool female colleague, right? So she's just going to work her first day on a new assignment. She's like officially, I guess she graduated school and this is her first like official job, I guess you could say. And she bumps into this guy who apparently is literally frozen in ice, looking like just hanging out. Just frozen, and she's like, what's going on here? Are you okay? Do you need a hand? And this guy would become, I guess, our real protagonist for the show, Himaro, who just so happens he's descendant of a snow woman, which is a supernatural Japanese, like, folklore belief. So you kind of have to know Japanese history to, like, get that. So that's why it's a thing they believe, and apparently it's real, and apparently it's just kind of nonchalantly like, oh yeah, supernatural's a thing in this world. And she doesn't even like question it much. She's like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
But I guess that's her character. But then everyone else also does the same reaction. Oh, cool. So it's a little of a weird start. But she helps him out because when he gets very emotional, tends to be like nervous, very extreme emotions. He tends to like over freeze himself, or he causes little snowstorms because, like I said, he's a descendant of a snow woman. So he's I don't know, Mr. Freeze without the bad one-liners. So yeah, they help each other, and it just so happens, of course, that he is working the same office that she is, and it basically becomes a comedy romance question mark from there on out, where these two meet in office, and Himuro basically instantly falls in love with her because she's just so darn cute in his opinion of her, because she helped him out. She's very nice, and she's very awkward because she's very reserved with her feelings and emotions, and she's never been in love. So it's basically the whole question of the show is, will they, won't they? Oh, stay tuned and find out.
Once again.
So yeah, that is the premise of the show. And like I said, I saw the first episode before I said, this is the show for the season for me. And yeah, I thought it was kind of cute. And I liked the fact that it wasn't a story about teenagers in high school. It was about like real ass adults, working a job.
As you do.
Yeah. The other weird thing, I don't think is, does anyone here know what they do for a living? Instead of working in an office.
Well, they worked what
do they do in the office?
Every Japanese businessman, they work in the office. That's what you do.
Yeah, nothing but head shakes. Because I looked it up and I'm like, no, it's never ever said. They just work at an office doing something at the office.
I think at one point they did say, I wouldn't like to work in sales.
Right, we know that the other couple that they introduced later on, they work in sales. So we know what they're fucking selling. We have no idea, but they're selling something.
Project X.
But the two main characters, we have no idea what they do in this office. They work together in this office. So yeah.
That's true. So it was the other couple that does work sales, right?
Yeah, that's them. That's like the most story. So it's like interesting that it's kind of like this whole show's a mystery. The whole supernatural thing, question mark. They work in office, question mark. What the first names are, question mark. It's this big mystery.
Comfort it feels. Don't worry. Don't think much. Comfort it feels.
Yeah, so it's very cute and kind of innocent, which is kind of funny and silly because like when they do more cute, silly, will they, won't they stories, they're more like in high school, which makes sense because kids young, they don't know what to do with these feelings and blah blah blah. But like they're like 20-something-year-old plus. You would imagine because you would imagine they went to university and they graduated and this is their first gig, if you will. But they're still acting like a bunch of high schoolers. But I guess they try to explain why that is because like she's very reserved, doesn't know how to like filter out her feelings and emotions and express them to other people. And then he's like always feels like, oh, I'm a freak of nature. I can't get close with people because I'm a weirdo. So it kind of makes sense if you think about it, but I guess the show doesn't like really explain it. You kind of have to put it together yourself, I guess, in that regard. But I guess it makes sense enough for me. And yeah, I don't know that. I guess I would have passed the bar to him because I'm tired talking here.
Oh, okay.
Was that a synopsis or your review?
That's the review's coming later.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. He's loading up right now. He's getting ready.
I'm setting up for the fall.
I was like, what am I gonna say?
Do we
now?
say like just like what we?
Yeah,
thought
what you
about
guys
it?
what you guys think? Did anyone have any expectations? Did anyone hear about the show, or was this the first time hearing about the show when I said, hey, we're watching the show for me?
I saw the cover.
Okay, well that's something.
I saw the cover, so when I saw the cover, I was like, Ice Cream. Oh yeah, I did see the cover. So I've said this phrase to you before, and you said like I don't understand what this phrase means.
Oh, here we go.
It's a boring, entertaining show. I've said that phrase before, and you're like, what does it mean?
That's an accurate description, but yes, okay.
So, and I'm really not saying it was boring, but it's like it's one of those shows that nothing happened. Like
nothing changes for
Yeah.
sure.
That's what I was gonna say. What do you mean no spoilers? Nothing happened.
There's also true, which is also, I guess, a spoiler. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't bad. It was just like I think I've never seen a show that had like zero drama. Like there was like no drama. It was like literally you got like these characters that go to work every day and you just kind of like documented their lives. So like this is like I'm waking up, I'm doing this, I'm interacting with these people, and it was just like everything was like smooth.
Right.
But it wasn't bad. But that was like my first thought. It was just like there's really like no drama. There's like no.
Where's the beef?
Yeah, there's no rival, none of the I guess like the cliches that you were expecting with some of the romance animes. It was but I did think it was pretty funny, because as you mentioned, his emotions show when he feels emotions, it shows in his eyes. So he creates a little snowman, and sometimes they are really funny when he's like, I feel happy, and then they start popping out happy,
Right.
happy, and then when he gets like angry, he gets like the big like icicles like
Oh,
over
yeah,
his
yeah.
head. So it did make me laugh a couple of times. The girl is very stoic, like very, very, very stoic. So it takes a while for her to kind of show some of her emotions.
Mhm.
But even so, it's very, very, very mild. It's so I feel like it's like almost like a setup for if they do make a second season. You're setting it up like, and the second season you're gonna get, I guess, break the ice.
And that was Ivan, ladies and gentlemen.
I will see some help. See you guys later.
It'll be here next week, apparently.
But yeah, I guess those were my initial thoughts of the show.
I say for me, like I do like the bits because I think it is weird because usually you see more like when you see you mostly see the guy doing wacky normally unfortunately ecchi things like you're like, oh, look at that, boobs, right, something like that. But
yeah, that was good. It had
you mean the typical? The typical.
Typical
right.
romance because like you see the drama does it. Oh look, here comes the beach episode. Here comes it plays by book, right?
Right.
But in all fairness, they did have a beach episode.
There technically was.
Yeah, there was.
But like this show, like for one, the fact that the male character, he's actually showing his feelings, which I think is very weird for me. Like why I know
usually it's the opposite. The guy's a stoic character.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did too as well.
Too.
Because the fact that we like you spread like beyond like obviously the blizzards and the snowman popping out. When he says something about Fuyutsuki, right? He'll say something like I gotta be quiet, but but it's pretty good though. And the fact that he breaks his accent, because that's the thing. Because normally he talks very polite.
Right.
In Japanese, but when he's talking in his head, he goes to a kansai accent, so he's like going more kind of like I guess because how
he geeks out.
And it's one of those things that you have to almost watch the English dub to like fully understand and get it, because in Japanese you have to know the difference and blah blah blah. But if you're not a hardcore person who understands Japanese culture and differences like that, because it's funny because I thought the same thing in English dub. Was like, oh, the actor, they really make it sound like a completely different character, so it helps kind of sell the split personality, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, and I like I said, the best part I think is the fact that there is no drama. There's no, oh no, here comes the rival interest or whatever, right? It's like, well, obviously these two eventually get together, right? But there's no it's like, what are we doing today? Well, I'm gonna go play some cats. Okay, we're gonna play some cats.
Yeah,
we're gonna go skiing. It's that was not very mundane kind of things that older adults do, right? But there was no drama, no weird mishaps, no like whoops, fall into the hot tubs, like a classic a hot tub scene or something like that. Like it's very nice, calm, easy, and relaxing.
I also got the vibe like very Japanese, where people don't really know how to express their feelings, but there's like this love, but we don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's the very Japanese reserve. Like we all nod each other and we go, yes, I would bang you, me too. But we don't say that aloud. We never say that aloud.
Yeah.
No, hell no.
Yeah,
can't do that.
That's the impression I got of it too.
I agree.
I guess I'll say what.
Step up to the plate.
Well, I mean, to describe it really quickly, I say this is a safe show anime. I did find because they call it yokai, and I'm like, yokai. So I was thinking about Ivan because he was like, I'm playing yokai. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm gonna watch the yokai anime.
It's the same thing. Gotta catch them all.
When I was looking for it, I thought the name was The Ice Guy and His Cool Colleagues. So I was thinking it was gonna be about this guy and everybody in the office, but I guess I made an error and I'm like, oh, it's about her and him. I'm like, oh, okay.
For the most part, there are other supporting characters.
Yeah. I really liked the opening and
I liked it too.
And the ending. I thought they were relaxing. I thought they fit
the show too.
They fit the show, yeah.
That's true. That's true. I'll say that for sure.
I don't know if it's just because I haven't really been watching new anime. But I think the animation was really nice. And I don't know if they've done it somewhere else, but I thought the detail they had with the hair was pretty cool. How they had it was kind of like messy. They had one strand.
Oh yeah, they would have especially on her hair.
Yeah,
I
was like,
I did notice. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
She didn't comb her hair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they realize when they animate their eyes, you see their eyes kind of move a little bit.
Oh, they sparkle. They did that a lot. Where
they're always they all look like they're always just crushing on each other constantly. Yeah, but yet nothing's ever going to happen.
Yeah, but the fact that you see their eyes move around, kind of like normally a person would look. It's they don't don't like just do this, right?
Right.
So
I thought about that too. That our eyes are always moving in the anime. They really do make that detail that the
Yeah,
eyes
because
always...
you get to see in the open, you see them like when they have like the side pictures, right? You see like their eyes are moving a little bit, like it gives like a depth of life, right? Like you know, like oh okay, this is more it's really well animated. No, but obviously it's probably two studios, so it kind of helps.
I didn't notice that, but the opening I only watched it once because I was trying to hurry up and
Hit a marathon, basically.
But I did watch the ending a lot of times because I felt like they had like an extra scene.
There was always there was like a teaser at the end, which I did not
that was
realize.
annoying. Yeah,
And I was gonna say
It took
that
me
was a
while.
little because and the worst part is like because as a producer, you're like, I don't want to miss it. Maybe it's something important. But all it is, it's always just like the first seconds of the next episode that you're about to watch anyway. Especially if you know like because I kind of marathon it like the past week I've been watching it. So yeah, I was like, oh, I don't want to miss the beat, and like I'm on my cellular data, I'm trying to like get to it, like, and then you find out, oh, if I just hit the next episode, we're still the same damn thing.
What else? I found the whole powers things weird. I thought they were gonna go more into that.
Right.
But the only thing was basically him and the Fox girl and apparently the president, but I didn't see her do anything unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
and
was
the Buddha guy, right?
The Buddha. Like,
no, he wasn't anything. He just looked like Buddha.
Question mark. Yeah, that part was a little of a head scratcher.
The fact that it's like supernatural, but then at the end of the day,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just like normal. It's just generally accepted. Oh yes, you are a descendant of a phoenix. You're a descendant of this. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, like everyone's just like cool. Like that's it. Like no, like I have a question. How does that work? You know, blah blah.
In a way, that's what kind of made it funny.
Right,
because he's like,
interesting.
because like he has like all these powers, and then she's just so unfazed by it. Like,
right.
And like it's just like
it was like X-Men if nobody cared.
Yeah, basically. Oh, you mean cool?
That's so true though.
I was just gonna say that there was one part where there was firecrackers or fireworks, and then they were like, "Oh, it's just that guy." Like.
Oh, right. The Phoenix, which I'm still confused on that one in general. The whole, because I'm thinking like, is this man going to literally die in front of us right now and get reborn? Because that's the shtick of a Phoenix.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's probably like, you know, obviously you can't go there. Right? So it's celebration, you know.
Right, and like that's what I say. So it's like, oh, I see. So it's like a really toned down, like a real like mental version of that state, I guess, or power, or whatever you want to call it, supernatural phenomenon.
I had a problem with, I don't know, cause I was talking to Ivan about it. I was like, are they really like this, or are they just, you know, making it a show? By like this, it's like super shy. I'm like, they're like 25. Are they still?
Yeah. When's someone gonna ask someone out at this point?
I was thinking about that. I'm like, and I don't know. I feel like they would be more forward or something.
You would. Yeah,
we're talking about Japanese society though,
and it's like it's a back and forth. I get because I felt the same thing. Like that's stupid, not realistic. But it's like, oh, Japan and fucking Japan, and like I said, the point of like, oh, they're both like awkward people for their own reasons. So like, oh, if you fall in love, how do you do that, right? So it's kind of like I'm trying to convince myself that, but at the same time, the back of my head's like, no, this is kind of stupid.
Well, I'll save my opinion for spoilers when it comes to that part.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Does anyone else have anything off to say before I just steal the mic? Probably.
Oh,
were you gonna steal it for what?
It's a hot take.
Let's see here. I'm trying to think. What other things can I say that's on my notes here? Oh, one note I really did like about the show is the outfits. They were all different outfits more often than not with the dress uniform, which is something like you never fucking see.
Well, they're working in the office.
Yeah, so it's just like it was like a very simple thing, but I liked it because you just don't see that kind of like detail, especially on this show. It was animated well enough, but you can tell it was, you know, it wasn't like a AAA budget show, but of course it doesn't need to be, it's comedy romance.
Yeah.
But like little details like that, I was like, oh, that's a cool way to kind of make up for the like the animation constraints.
For like, you know, obviously the animation part where you feel like it's kind of like stiffed a little bit, right? But they make up by details of going around, like, you know, I like the little snowmen when they pop out.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have like little scarves and gloves, but they're all like different. They go, yeah.
They were funny.
And
I remember myself on the spot.
It's funny because I originally thought that it just happens to him and to pop out, right? But I didn't know they actually were physical objects till his sister asked her them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh no, they're actually literally pop out from him and like, oh, I need some of my project. Okay, cool. And just take one and there you go.
I thought it was like the little I know of Japan. I thought it represented Japan. Like it made me want to go over there and you know
Mhm.
eat something because the food looked really good and the clothes, like you said, was really nice. One thing about his personality was, yeah, he would show it, but it wasn't very clear to me if he was like sad or happy. It was just like a blizzard all the time, and I'm like, wait, what?
Sometimes it wasn't as consistent as it could have been for sure. They were like, oh, it's funny, so make a blizzard.
And I have a question. You all watched it in y'all watched it
Y'all?
Yeah.
in Japanese?
I did a 50-50. Let me ask this question. Did anyone watch a single episode with the English dub?
Oh,
No.
I watched like almost all of them.
In English?
Yeah.
Attaboy, Frank. This is why you're on the podcast. You stay on the podcast, Frank. You're like, okay,
so I
Frank.
guess-
You're okay.
So I guess me and Ivan, are we just like nobody's here?
But I want to throw you out next time. Remind me you watch English dubs. You're all right. You can stay here, Frank.
Oh,
I'm just surprised they were already updated so quickly.
Yeah, well, it helps when you buy Funimation.
Yeah.
the reason I watched it in English was because I got Crunchyroll to watch this stuff,
Mm.
and it was just like I pressed play and it was in English, and I'm like, oh wait, let me just watch it in Japanese, and I couldn't find where to change it.
Yeah, that is a slight tangent, but the Crunchyroll app of the way how it handles the different audios, because sometimes they have English, sometimes they have like Spanish and French and a bunch of other
Yeah.
audio tracks. But they don't. It's not like Netflix where you could just hit the show and then hit the like sound button and switch the language while the episode's playing. It's no, you have to go find the certain folder in the app, the Crunchyroll app, and then find whatever audio you're looking for, and then play those episodes.
It's annoying.
It's stupid. And they do it for all. It's not just the show. It's all the shows.
Well,
that
it depends.
The dubs.
Because like say for example, I know me and Ray, we were looking around, browsing through Crunchyroll once. I don't try to see how many episodes My Hero has left for this last season, whatever.
Right.
And it's like, where is the English ones? It's like, oh no, that's under the My Hero dubs.
Yeah, which is the same icon, and like you have to, and then you have to wait for it to scroll half the time to be like, because you know it's a dub, but like, is it the French dub, the English dub? So you have to wait for it to scroll across the screen, and then like, oh, it's the French one. Fuck, next one. Nope, it's Spanish. Oh, there's the English one, or whatever you're looking. It's clunky, it's stupid. They need to fix that on the Crunch. With all the money they acquired to buy all these monopoly anime things, maybe we could get a decent streaming app, huh? What an idea.
I was because I've used it before, and before it was like you would click on the season and then it shows like if it was different seasons.
Right.
But
they jumped directly to the show.
They changed it now, or I don't know.
It's worse now. Yeah.
Yeah, and because it depends, right? Because there's Roku, there's Apple TV, there's your iPhone, your Android. So I imagine it's a little bit different, but I had the same exact problem. I did not like because I'd have to play it, then hit back to then find if I want to switch to Japanese or English because especially the last episodes they're not English yet, so you had to watch them Japanese no matter what. So it's just clunky and it needs to be fixed.
And that's why I thought there was 2 seasons, and I texted both of you.
Oh,
and I was like, "There's 2 seasons. You cheated." I was like,
See, that's you got Premiere Plus. See, you got that.
Yeah,
You get
super Crunchyroll service.
Yeah, I like the dub. And then it forced me to watch it in Japanese. I'm like, oh,
darn it,
this isn't you.
Yeah, I thought it was overall. I won't say it's like amazing, but I was like, yeah, it was pretty good. And like I said, it helps to explain like the difference in his accent and his voice. So like I like they really tried to translate that without 100% just saying it out loud. Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid as well. But I'm that guy who tries to dub.
All I know is I think this show is kind of reminds me like Mason Koku in a way because I feel like you easily make it to a live action and it could generally for the most part work
if they have good ice effects, perhaps.
Yeah, but like for the like it's a show I've seen in a while. Like like easy you could do like live action. It's like really much hurdles other than
it's almost. I would almost argue, do they even need to have the supernatural abilities?
Well, I think it's added just like for flair, I guess. But like like you said, it's like but half the time I mostly invest in his reactions to what she does because he like saying he'll just talk. I listen to moments he's talking in his head how to say it without trying to cause a blizzard, trying to whatever emotion he's trying to deal with. How he's thinking in his head. Then they actually like, oh no, it's like he's a snow woman like him like dealing with being a snow descendant of a snow person.
Right. So I think is everyone said what they want to say before we get to spoilers? Is that correct?
I think we should.
I think we're entering into spoiler mode.
All right, so we're gonna enter spoiler mode. So if you're listening on your headphones, quick, I'll let you get a sec. Hit your pause button. I don't want to spoiled. And once again, we're gonna after this, to let you know, we're going to talk about Trigun Stampede. So look at your timestamp on your Apple device or whatever you're listening to this podcast on.
Talk about spoiler side of spoiler.
Yeah, we're jump right there. So here we go. Spoilers for the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague. It's my problem is, but I know this is more of a me thing, and it's just I know it's more of a me thing it's more of a me, my person this age thing of like nothing happens, no development happens in these 12 episodes.
Hey, they work together.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Nothing happens, and I knew, but I know because it's comedy romance. They usually never do because it made me think. I mean, there's so many animes you could choose from, but my quick one I could go to was Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, where I really enjoyed the show. Very funny in the concept, but I knew when we're gonna get there's no way we're gonna have like a confession or we're gonna move any progress. And literally, it's one of those anime endings of comedy romance, like. Whisper something. Oh, maybe I like you, but you'll never know. Maybe see season 2. I don't know. Fuck you. Bye.
Read the manga.
Yeah, basically, as it fades away. And yeah, I was expecting we'd have something similar to that, but we don't even get like a bad tease. It's just like that's it. Bye now. Here's the credits.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I do like the fact though that they just like summarize like a whole year and that
Well, I did like the passing of time, and that it really felt like a real world and this and that, and we talked about the details, and it does make me feel like it takes in Japan and the different cultural differences of Japan and how they celebrate the different seasons. So like that was cool, but it just like I said, like really nothing. A whole year, you guys didn't even say like, you want to go on a date? I think I like you. Jesus Christ, they're like 20 something plus years old.
It depends how you look at it. Technically, they sort of did. They went out to dinner a couple times,
right? But as friends or co-workers or whatever the bullshit I guess they came up with. So it was a little more, like I said, I knew I was going to be disappointed. I think I was going to be that disappointed when it came to the ending and the progress of not, okay, and here's the thing. Fine, I can understand their relationship not going anywhere. But I thought for sure one of the other two couples would have made more progress. But no, I would argue they did the same, if not less than the other ones, which drove me more insane. Because I really thought for sure the Fox girl and the other guy were gonna like be a hookup, and they were gonna be like kind of like prodding them along, like, oh come on guys, come on, it's fun being a couple and this and that, and they could play off each other, this and that a little bit more in their situation than compared to the theirs. But like that never happened, so I was kind of bummed out by that. I and just the lack of the support characters were just, I kind of wish they used them more. They were there.
Phoenix guy was terrible.
In the last couple just take them out. By the time they introduce them in the show, it's too late. They have no real significant purpose. And then same thing with the sister. It's like, really? We're going to do the sister now? It's episode 8. We got like 4 more episodes left. What's the point of her?
We really don't know anything about anyone.
And that's the thing. We don't, it's, I understand it because, well, now that I looked up before we record, it's a web manga. And so like, it's pretty much an indie manga comic series that, an artist posts randomly whenever they have the chance or want to. So it's not like a traditional publishing where you got to put up new, bring out the whip, put them on the, So it makes sense, I suppose, but I guess I would hope in a full anime adaptation they would have shown a little bit more. So that part was rather disappointing for me, and I will pass the baton on because I don't want to hog up forever just ranting and raving.
I guess my spoiler part, or the only thing I would just kind of say that will kind of justify it, and probably my favorite part of the whole show, was when he was going to give her the earrings. And when he did the whole eyes thing where he was like really, really nervous.
Right.
I actually really enjoyed that scene. And the reason why I enjoyed it was because I guess it
doesn't hurt.
Yeah. But also like the nervousness of actually confessing to someone. It's not easy. So
right.
Just like it just kind of showed that how he wants to, but it's just how nervous or how scared he is of actually taking that step. So as a viewer, it is annoying watching, as you mentioned, nothing happened. But that scene made me give it more of a pass.
Right.
Where I say, like, you know what, like I understand why he's scared. You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of like, what do they think? And she is really stoic.
She's very hard to read, so he has no idea if it's going good or bad for sure.
So I really did like that scene a lot. But there was that creepy scene at the very end where he turns into a child and he like
that part was like, oh my god, we're doing this right, fucking it just became like, oh my god, eject, get me out of here.
So because when he gets
it's okay fever, if she does it though. As long as it's not a guy does it, it's fine. Oh fucking yikes, Japan. Fucking yikes.
Wow, that's another one of those lost translation kind of things. Like, well, I guess no. You guys not cool with this? No.
And like they could have made like a better story reason of why they got in that situation, but like it was a very like, no, because I said so. And it's like, what? No, that's like super creepy and weird. What's wrong with you? It wasn't like, oh, quick throw, oh, the company could afford one room, or the whole hotel room was booked for the whole night. We couldn't get another room. We had to share a room, right? They could have done something to like make it not super creepy, but it's like, no, I decided I want this humor. Ah! Get out of there, Iceman. Get out of there.
Yeah. So but yeah, I guess that's my spoiler that I did.
I forgot about that. Yikes.
Yeah, because when he gets nervous, he melts. No, when he gets a fever,
When he gets sick.
he gets sick.
Or he's too hot, which I thought was like, oh, that's kind of cute. Like they did something with this, because like that's like the one only supernatural thing they came up with. Like, oh, instead of melting, he becomes like looking like, oh, okay, I guess that's cute and fun and silly. That makes sense.
Well, I guess I thought it was like a one-time thing, right? I didn't expect it to come back again.
I expected to come again. I didn't think we were gonna have that situation though with it.
See, the one for me, it was like when everyone was celebrating for New Year's. Everyone's so used to now like doing the whole camera bit now. The Zoom meeting.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Can you tell this show was that out after 2020? Am I right?
I like how like it's like generally accepted like, oh, we can show this now because people understand what this is.
This is our life now. This is society now. Oh my god! Fuck me.
Yeah, the Zoom episode. That was
oh my god!
I wasn't sure why she was embarrassed of her pants when she gets up, and then she's like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like,
she has like, it was like shorts or something on, right?
No, and she had red
high
pants.
school pants.
Oh, she had her like her like like gym sweatpants from high school.
But once again, we don't know anything about her.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. Well, I think it's just the idea. It's because but it's like the classic story, right? You see people like they're doing an interview on Skype or whatever, right? And they have a nice dress suit, tie and everything, but then they're wearing no fucking pants underneath, right?
That would have made more sense. I'm like,
well, but I think that's basically the equivalent. Well, it's
well, they're trying to. I think they're trying to normalize people like.
Well, trying to make her show she's normal to a certain degree. She doesn't show it, but she is.
And then one of them was like, "Well, I'm just wearing panties." I'm like, prove it.
I'll just say this. What's the name of that other show? The Takagi, the teasing Takagi.
Takagi-san, yeah.
So I've also said that that's a boringly entertaining show. But I felt that show had a scene where she kind of broke character. And I think that was more of it made more sense. And this show, she never had that moment. He kind of had that moment, but she never had a moment where, I guess towards the end, that last episode where she got like more shy, but it still wasn't enough. Like she never got out of her stoic character. And I think that's what I would have wished, that she would have had a moment where it been, okay, I see a glimpse of like who you can really be. I know that.
Right. I think
in the dinner she gets shy.
I think in the first half of the show it was subtle, but it was there. But in the last half it wasn't as much. But I feel like the first half it's like because like I could understand her character because at some point I was similar that way. So like I kind of related to her and how she reacted on it. But it's very subtle little things. And like I said, the first half they kind of showed that a little bit more. In the second half, not as much. It just become swirly eyes. They're they're adorable with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I guess not really. I don't really consider it spoiler, but one of my favorite parts was when he does get small for the first time, and then she
takes a picture.
Yeah, because I had to rewind it because I'm like, did I just hear a click? And then I thought that was so funny because she's not even like telling him nothing. It's just like.
Gotta be careful of the reserved ones.
And then they should have, because later on she brings it up because she's looking at pictures.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, this picture," and it made it seem like she took it by accident. And I was like, "Oh no, it would have been better if it was on purpose." Like,
oh really?
Yeah, because I was like, "Damn, all right, fine."
Wasn't she hiding it?
He thought he didn't think it was intentional, but it was in fact.
Yeah, because like he got her phone, and he like, oh, it's just them like fireworks, right?
He didn't see the other one.
Yeah, he didn't see the secret one.
Yeah, because at the end of the episode, she's like, oh goodness, he didn't see like the homepage.
Yeah,
and that's a picture of him being a kid.
Which once again, it was a little because. The last scene where he turns little, and that's when
that part was fun because it's like, oh, he's cute and he's a kid. And it's a magical, like, oh, that's crazy.
No, she had a fetish.
Well, I mean, later on, it sure looks like it definitely was.
But I say, like, I think for that moment, like just the fact, like it's something that for her, because she's very stoic. It's kind of her kind of like have a slight like I guess a moment, like kind of like a breakdown moment, a little bit of like.
That's true.
Like,
that was probably the most that you got from
her. Like I said, there's a couple moments, but it's not as much but then most of the time the story focuses more on him and what's going on with him and in his mind.
Yeah, because he's really kind of the main character, really. And like how he he's trying to react to trying to think, okay, how do I spend more time for because he was always worried all the time. Oh, are we gonna be in the same office? Are we moving offices?
Yeah.
Are we are we doing stuff? It's more about him and how his reactions. These things though.
Right.
You get the snowman, so you get the ice and stuff and ice.
All right, let me bring this before I forget. Did anyone here thought the snowmen were like sentient?
For one episode, yes.
Right.
Define sentient.
They're self-aware, they're alive.
Oh, no, I just thought it was all in his mind.
Right. But then later in one episode, like, no, they're alive and like they have their own thoughts and like motivate him. But then they like die? So like do they just die like every 5 seconds? How does that work?
Well,
I had more questions when they.
Well, they were like, I think I know you're talking about one episode, right?
Yeah,
one
they're
episode
like, you got it, kid. Don't let it down.
Don't let it.
And then like, I'm dead. And it's like, wait, do they die every time? Do they get reborn? Are they the real Phoenix? What's happening? Like, how does this work? I had more questions and it's so because like what's it like episode 8 or 9? They hinted at such a thing. It's like, what the fuck? I got too many questions.
Yeah, because I thought it just happened. It just pop out. For one, right?
They're just cute.
And I didn't know, like, oh, no,
they're alive.
You could grab one. No,
I don't want to die.
There are a physical option that comes out of him, and you can grab one, and it's actually a physical object, right?
Yeah.
And then the whole scene where you see, like, they're talking, like, oh, man, you got this, man, you got this. It's like, okay, whoa.
When this happened?
Like, well, this is a working enemy stand? What is this?
Yeah.
Because, like, then, are they getting stronger? Or is he, like, what's happening here? And they kind of just washed away, and like, oh, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
I do remember that, but that only happened with him alone, right?
Yeah.
So it could still be in his mind.
That's true, I suppose.
Like,
yeah, I guess I'm gonna go with that because I'll sleep better at night, believing that.
Because
not like a stand wiki or something.
What happened when the sister took him? Did they talk, or it was just?
Yeah, because she wanted him for a project because she was like, she was streaming.
Oh right, that was another thing that makes you feel like, can you tell we're in the 2020s?
Yeah, because she was streaming like, she was streaming.
It's not good when anime starts making feel old.
She was making videos and streaming
TikTok sensation
content, and she's like, I need some snowman.
Need that content.
And he's like, I'm not gonna make any snowman. And I was like, and he showed a picture of Yusuke right there, and he's wearing some. Okay,
oh right, and she takes some.
So
I thought it was funny when he sent her a message and she said, I'm gonna leave you on red.
Oh yeah,
that was fun.
The other part I thought was funny was in the dinner when he's talking to the waiter. And he's like, yeah, I'm on my first date, and then she shows up, and he's like,
oh right, and I thought something more was gonna happen with that, and no.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you hurt, because I didn't think she heard anything,
right?
Because it was they kind of paused it for a while, but I thought that was one of the few moments. Despite those moments, I didn't feel like it was a funny anime. Like,
I once in a while laughed, but I didn't laugh like consistent enough to be like, oh, that was worth it.
It was nice. It was just.
It was fine. Like, there's nothing, it's hard to hate a show that's like very wholesome and cute and innocent.
It's a very cozy anime. It's like something like, I feel down. I'm gonna watch this. I watch like,
It's easy to digest and, like you said, have feel a little bit fun and like maybe get like one good laugh. But hey, you get at least one good laugh, right?
I just feel like I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it.
Yeah, and it's like, it's one of those, and because I'm usually the guy, because I'm in my head when I, give the thing scores. You don't have to give things scores, but I guess in my head I forget scores. And I'm always a 1 out of 5 guy, and of course, so middle is 2.5, but I don't do the 0.5 bullshit because then you're just doing a 10-point scale. So in my mind, I was like, either this is a 2 or a 3, and I don't know, but like, I feel like I'm leaning, surprisingly before this conversation, I was leaning more of a 2, but maybe I'm more of a 3 now hearing you guys discuss about it. It's like, yeah, it wasn't terrible, but it was also kind of forgettable at the same time. So I'm like, I don't know which would, I feel it's like one of the few rare times I might actually do a 2.5.
That makes sense. One last thought, it reminded me of Frozen. The whole time I was like, thinking of
let it go.
I also kind of wish he can actually like projectile somebody. I don't know why.
Then Wolverine shows up. Let's go, bub. Let's get him, Iceman.
I have some few things that I
Some
wanted to
thoughts?
say before. Yeah, I just didn't want to.
shows up.
I didn't want to interrupt you guys. That's why.
Go for it.
The Phoenix guy. I did feel he was weird, like you guys said. My problem wasn't that he came too late. My problem was that him and the girl, like clearly he liked her,
Right.
but I wanted to see some love from her to him.
But
That would've been nice.
But that's the thing.
well,
though.
any love with any of these characters would have
Well,
been nice.
Well,
Shit.
I argue when that one episode which you see them all like all the guys talk to each other and all the girls talk to each other, right? You see kind of like because like and that relationship between her and the Phoenix guy, is more like a one-sided kind of thing. Kind of like he's like
Despite but that was the weird thing. It's like I don't know. It's like
Because,
one of
like-
those weird anime relationships ?
yeah, because one is like no, I'm just no superior. I'm no
Right? Because they're like, he actually likes you. It's like, yeah, I know. I just don't care.
yeah.
no,
but,
she didn't say that.
Maybe not exactly, but basically.
But she kind of I guess waited off kind of.
Yeah, yeah, sure he did. Sure he is. It's like,
Yeah, because it's like just all my. He looks at me because I'm his senpai, right? So it's like
right.
yeah.
I get, it was just weird.
So, yeah, like you said, the Fox girl and like that one should have.
That was the one I was like cheering the most for and like really wanted because if someone had progress, we needed them to have progress. And if, like I said, if they were making progress, they could have been like, well, let me tell you, I've been dating this new girl, and let me tell you that we had this relationship problem, and blah blah blah. And maybe if you can do it with, blah. And they did nothing. That was like the most surprising thing. And
they had some progress.
No, they did.
Well,
Fuck off.
yeah. Because remember,
I think the most progress, and that's like saying just like the minimalist. That there was something going on.
I needed
there.
a little bit more, like an official. Oh yeah, we're like just a quick. Oh yeah, we're going out. Oh cool.
There was a because that's the next thing I was going to talk about. There was a part where they did something and it was like off screen, and they were like, "You went out with her?" It's like, "Yeah, of course I did."
Oh yeah.
And then the other thing that they had was which was kind of weird because it was kind of combined with the other couple too.
Mm-hmm.
When they were buying those breakfast packages to get their little toy.
Oh right.
That was kind of like a thing where when she thought she didn't know who it was, and then she thought it was somebody else, and then when she found out that it was that guy, she was like, "Oh, like you did that for me."
She was like the cheerleader for them.
I felt that was progress. Like
you're
that was-
grasping at straws here.
So
this man's get the big magnifying glass out today.
no, well, it's because
I got a clue here, Watson. I know it. I can feel it in my bones.
Well, if you let me talk.
No, I refuse.
Like this is it was confusing because I was wondering if this is how it really was. But having that said, I felt if you're explaining it to someone and you tell what happens, yeah, nothing happened. But it reminded me a lot of my high school years, which was why I thought it was weird that they weren't in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was refreshing that they weren't.
Yeah, I know, right? Definitely true.
Their emotions were there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, like when I was in high school and then there was a girl that I liked. I remember, just doing little things and be like, all right, progress.
It really was like that.
It
though.
really was.
Yeah.
It really was.
I remember.
That's why I really like that episode, the one I mentioned, the one where he gave her the earrings, because his inner dialogue of how nervous he was, and I was like, it does reminded me of that. So
And to give him some credit for it, I'm going to mention that is that because I feel like most anime be like, oh, I can't give her the earrings. And always be some like, oh, they popped out of his pocket. And what are these? Right? I feel like that's the most, but like in this anime, he goes like, no, here you go. I got this for you. I should man up. I'm going to man up now. Here you go.
Mhm.
So it's like, all right, I'll give him credit. That's something. That's more than what I'm used to, sadly, but true.
Yeah, I remember leaving my first period, and there's like few minutes in between,
Right.
so you can walk to your next class. I remember this girl that I used to go out of my way to run into her.
Oh,
And when I
wink,
did-
wink.
When I didn't run into her, it was like, damn, my day's a waste.
Fancy.
You know what?
Oh, Fancy, you here? Hey.
You come to this school? What a coinky
I'm just going to my class, but don't ask me where it is. 'Cause
It's on the other side
I
of the
agree with you though. I
campus.
completely agree. That's why it's a little hard to like hate on it completely. Like
Right, yeah.
because it does. When you do watch the show, you can relate to some of the characters because
yeah,
sometimes things are not so quick. But I think that, when you watch a lot of romance animes, there's a lot of tropes and a lot of things that you expect. So this one definitely falls into like the confession is going to be till the very, very, very end. To the very end, and it's not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, but it's like an anime trope in like the romance anime. So sometimes people, when that happens, are like, oh, like, like, can we kind of like do it a little faster?
It'd be nice.
So I think that's what it is, but it is pretty nice when you kind of break it down like little by little, the little small progresses, even because like he's like, oh look, now we have matching.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that.
The matching, that was cute.
And then like she brings them to work, and she has her little blanket. And...
So it's true, it is happening, but it's just like
it's like molasses. But yeah, I guess so.
Hey, it still moves.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Maybe you're a player and like you can't relate.
What's your name again? I'm sorry. Who are you again?
You're like, hey, go out with me. Like, damn, that's fast.
I do want to say
get in the car, babe.
Even though,
does the Calvadon at the wall?
Even though
you doing?
Even though like it's true that can be a possibility too. It's all about timing too, and it's like it's been a whole year, and I guess like just as a viewer, she did seem a little warmer, like how you mentioned, like she was showing more affection towards the beginning. In the second half, she wasn't as much, and even she had the line where I've never been in love, and they did say, oh, but we see that smile. But it at least like when they animated, it felt like she grew a little colder.
A little bit, yeah.
Which I know she didn't, but
it comes as the viewer watching it. It seems that way for sure.
I didn't get that sense.
Like I got that a little bit, but it wasn't enough to be like where she wasn't into him no more.
Yeah, no, not extreme, but enough to like colder, which is name of the show.
I just thought like from going to the very end, I couldn't figure out. I'm like, clearly she likes you. How can you not tell? But
he's a little slow.
Kind of to finish, but the story that I was telling, because it goes to the earrings. How he didn't want to give them to her. I remember that same girl. I bought this little Spider-Man toy. And one of the times that I saw her in the hallway, I gave it to her and I felt like, yeah, you're successful. Like I beat the final boss of this year. And I remember thinking, because in one of our conversations, she said she likes Spider-Man. So I went.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it wasn't just because like,
okay,
here you go.
I bet she likes Spider-Man. Cool people like Spider-Man.
This is a cool cartoon. You should watch it. It was because she mentioned it. And then I gave it to her. And I felt like, yeah. So now, like, I'm at the next step. I can, ask her to go out or something.
There you go.
So this was, I think I was sophomore, and then going to junior, I decided, all right, I'm gonna ask her out.
There you go.
Next year, she changed schools.
Aww.
So I was like, damn, this guy better hurry up because she's gonna change jobs. And in one of the episodes, she's like, "Oh no, they're gonna change departments." And I was like, "You should have asked that."
Should have.
But yeah, I felt like that resonated with me because, yeah, there were very subtle and little things, but I did see the progress. The only thing that bugged me was like, yes, there is progress, so you should know there's progress. Like, there's little, but you should know. So. Yeah,
percentages. Well, I'm an A student. I go for 100% or nothing. That's what I said.
Thought it was cute, and
5% and 50% are still Fs.
I don't want to give it a number, but what I would say is I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're looking to watch, romantic anime, I wouldn't recommend it. But it sounds like I'm gonna give a
right.
But if you watch it, I would say like you're not gonna waste your time if you watch it.
Right.
You're gonna.
I agree with that.
You're gonna enjoy it, but it's not like okay, you gotta watch this. Like this,
Not a must watch, but it's like if you have the time, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask everyone that question is like what, because I feel like that's when it comes down to it. That is, would you recommend the show to other people or not?
If they tell me they're looking for something romantic and I list whatever other romantics that I like first,
and then
that one's next. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So like kind of, but bottom list, I guess, or only after they marathon all the good other shows you can recommend.
To me, I feel like this show is probably I would recommend it because it's just something that one, it deals with more older people. There's not much drama. There's not a lot of fan servicey kind of nonsense. You can argue. The last scene, which is
I mean, one episode out of 12 is good for anime.
but but to me, I feel like it's mostly a grown up show doing romance in a more grown up way, like sort of like more, I guess, more neutral than like you said. Obviously, like no rival characters. There's no, do you get it? No upsetting moments. It's like okay, we're going on this road. It's a long road, a long winding road, but you see the path going. Like okay, I'm strolling along this road. It's very
Nice.
It's a very well paved road. It's a long road, but you're not gonna it's not like not made of cobblestone or something. That's a nice, easy going. Like you're it's a nice stroll, I guess.
Yeah, like when you're walking in the park.
I would be, if I had to choose, and I basically agree with Frank, but if I had to pick a black and white answer the question I suggested, I would say no. I don't think there's enough progress for most people, especially because I'm probably recommended to a Western viewer, and Westerners probably think more like, well, fuck already, goddammit. 2 episodes in, just fuck each other already. So,
whoa.
Language.
So yeah,
just chill, Rudy.
like I said, definitely not Japanese. So yeah, I guess if I had to choose, but at the end of the day, I don't think it does. It's not like a terrible show. It's not like, oh my god, don't avoid this as the sin. It's not like, oh, it's so bad, you should watch it. It's hysterical how bad it is. No, it's not even that. It's just fine. It's somewhat cute. It's it's friendly enough. Like I said, I feel like my biggest complaint is I wish there was a little bit more progress. And then okay, fine, no romantic or not significant, huge leaps and bounds romantic vibes. How about a little bit more supernatural? Because like that was like the key cornerstone uniqueness about the show, and like it's just quick throw lines like, oh, I'm a descendant of an ice woman. Oh, I'm a descendant of a kitsune or fox person, whatever the other lady is. And like none of that really matters. Oh, she pops up ears. Oh, okay, so fucking what? Or I'm a Buddha, but not really. And I'm the president lady. I'm a so and so, but it's just like a bunch. It's like a one-liner, but like they don't really do anything with it. So what's the point? Might just make them normal.
They're there to justify him being a
right, I guess. But it's just you might as well just make them all humans, and it just so happens he's an awkward nerd guy, and she's very stoic. Because I feel like you don't really change or lose anything by just making them normal.
You just reminded me something about that Fox girl. He's talking to the guy, and he's like, "Oh, I like your tail," and then she's like, "Oh, you perv."
Oh.
And then she mentioned something like, and he, no, I just said, I like your tail. And they, oh, just the tail. And then he goes into his head like,
no, not just the tail.
But it was kind of like, it was weird. I don't remember the exact words now, but it was kind of like, I would show you if you would have asked or something like that. You didn't remember that part?
I don't remember that part.
It was like,
that's a special.
I was like, wait, what else do you have? I was thinking like, because she kind of like hinted at it.
I don't remember that part.
Because her tail and ears like are always visible.
Usually. Well, that's like the gag.
So the implication for me was like, if she was embarrassed of what he was looking at of her fox form, like where is it? Like what's going on? Because if it comes out sometimes, but it comes out. So if you can't say like if you're looking at my arm, I can't be like, hey, don't look at it, because it's always there.
Right.
So that's what kind of like where it was weird for me. Like, wait, what's going on here?
Oh, I see. Yeah, like I said,
we all have our flaws in nature. This is that.
It's a fine, cute little show that I probably wouldn't recommend. Is probably my final statement.
All right, I guess we're good. Wrapping up this one.
I think we're good. I think I've said my piece.
All right, now time for the real juicy meat of this episode. The one that I know Ray's been waiting to talk about since like day one when they first announced this thing. Trigun Stampede. I think originally Frank chose this one, right, Frank?
Yes, it was the only one that seemed worth watching. Because
it was a great season, Frank. How dare you?
Well, because I was looking at the list. I mean, I would have chosen this no matter what, but I was looking at the list and I'm like, I don't recognize that. Mm-hmm. There was Spy Family, but then you're like, nope, 2 seasons, can't watch that. I'm like,
no time for that.
I'm like, So this one, because I love Trigun, and I think more than me just love it. I wanted to see how it was, and if anything changed or whatever, and that's why. For me, it was a must watch based on me loving the first one.
Yeah, well, I know both me and Ray, we know what Trigun, we see it probably most time doing. I I kind of want to rewatch it again because maybe I feel like I'm missing a couple of things here and there. No, overall, I think for what it was trying to do, I think it did a good job. I guess we should give a synopsis first, huh?
That would be a good idea.
All right.
Frank, it's yours. You do
Yeah.
I'd
All right.
please do a synopsis for that show.
Well, first,
I want to see Frank's attempt.
That's why.
well, my first question is, what is the synopsis?
It reminds me of
I'm gonna need some popcorn. I'll be back.
It reminds you of Endgame is like, where's Ghidorah? Who's Ghidorah?
Yeah.
What was the last line?
What is a Ghidorah? Maybe?
What is a Ghidorah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming it's like
A summary.
Okay,
What is the show?
I was thinking it was that, but I don't want to be like and say the wrong thing. Trigun is basically kind of like Xenoblade X, where they leave the planet because for whatever reason they need to leave it, doesn't work, or they blew it up. They come up at another planet, and they weren't intending to land there, but they crash land, and now they live there in a deserted planet where they have these plants, which is it's kind of weird because in the first one, a plant was like like an energy plant. But this one, I feel like they're real plants. So it's like, okay, I'm confused now. Anyways, we'll get to that later. These towns run on these plants because they're like, I guess, like nuclear plants.
What they need for water.
Yeah.
They're there for life or something. And Bash is the good guy who, for some people, is very wimpy. But he's afraid of his brother, and I don't know if he's chasing him or running away from his brother. That wasn't very clear in the beginning. And yeah, that's it. Crash land. The brother's evil. I don't want to say more because I feel like I'm just going to explain the whole story.
Well, the original Trigun. So, like, is it safe to say we've all seen the original Trigun from, I think, in 1998? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So we're very familiar with it, and I'm assuming do we all like Trigun, like the original Trigun?
I do.
Everyone likes Trigun, and I do too.
Yes.
So, okay. So I imagine we probably all had somewhat high expectations for this show. Is that a fair assumption?
No.
No. Okay. So
I guess it made me curious because it reminded me kind of the Cowboy Bebop live action thing. Like they're like we're going to reinterpret what you know about the show, and we're going to do our own thing. It's like, oh, here we go.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
I didn't have high expectations. I went in there with zero expectations.
Okay.
See, the reason I didn't have high expectations was watching the trailer. I could right away.
Whee!
Come
on, Shamu, let's go!
I could right away tell that it wasn't going to be the same. So that kind of set me up to be like, all right, I'm not going to expect it to be the same. So, go from there.
That's good. I guess I guess I did have expectations because it's Trigun. It's like it's our Adult Swim Toonami run. It's one of our next to Cowboy Bebops and all the other late 90s greatness anime. So I guess I did have high expectations. Was that fair of me? Probably not, knowing it's a 3D CG anime, but it's Trigun. And I'm back in my head, I'm thinking like, we're doing a new Trigun, we're reimagining Trigun, we're doing something with the Trigun property. What are we going to do with this property to justify its existence? Because I think we did everything we need to do in the original show, so why is this show going to do it? And they must have a good excuse to justify it. So I guess I personally had high expectations for it, just for that mindset and reason. And I'll let you facilitate the conversation, Frank.
I was just gonna say, as far as like the setup, it's kind of the same that Jujutsu Stampede, the humanoid typhoon. Yeah, so wherever he is, destruction happens. So he has a bounty on his head, and they're chasing after him. But wherever they're chasing after him, chaos happens because everything gets blown up. I don't think this is a spoiler, but one thing that I guess right off the bat I didn't like is that they gave the story right from the get-go, where in the original anime you don't get it till way later. So I just how I mentioned the setup that he's Jujutsu Stampede, he has a bounty in his head, but it doesn't start off like that. It starts off with the actual story of like the alien crash landing, and I think that was, I don't know if I like that.
I think it was a mistake personally.
Yeah, I would have set it up the original way.
Why not?
Well, I don't want to get into it because of spoiler territory, so we'll get to it just because it's so hard, because when you talk about the show, I almost feel like you don't have to talk about the original show, but it's kind of hard not to, because it exists and it's a very popular anime out here in the West. I don't know. So I feel like that was one thing I was going to say. With the setup is basically the same but a little bit different. There's no. I think you talked about this before, Frank, on the previous podcast when you first talking about the show. They replaced some familiar faces with apparently famous American actors. Apparently,
Roberto De Niro.
yeah, exactly. Which I was fine with when I understood his role when it came to the characters. He made sense and existed. I could see why they made that change, and I had no problem with that change. That I didn't. Well, let me look at my list here. I try to start. Let me start off positive stuff before I get to negative
as
stuff.
he scrolls,
because it's easy to me. It's always easy just to go on the negative stuff.
As he brings up the scroll.
So the good thing, I think Trigun, both this and the original have the same setting, and I think it's interesting that they're like on this futuristic and yet very primitive Western setting where the whole planet's a desert. Everyone is like barely scrounging and doing everything just to survive, and sadly, like a lot of people are not surviving very well. And it's kind of like Western, old fashioned Western, where there's no laws, there's no rules. It's shoot and fight for yourself. It's the survival of the strongest and fittest. So that is a very interesting setting, and they kept that in this world. So I do like that. The other positive thing I want to mention is I know a lot of people, when they see, once again, the 3D CG, especially if it comes from Japan, they run away from the hills and be like, terrible, worst anime of all time. It didn't really bother me as much as I thought it would have.
It was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, when the few, like, and that's the action sequences that are there in the show, I thought they were really well done and choreographed, and they use the advantage of 3D CG, because with the 3D CG, you can manipulate the camera and make the camera do crazy things that you can't really do in traditional 2D animation, because you, the artist, have to become the 2D camera. But in here, you just play with the environment and do crazy things, and they utilize that pretty well when it comes to the action sequences. So the animation, little maybe, I don't want to say choppy, but like, I guess the quick way to explain it's like it's not a solid 60 frames per second. It's more like a 50 frames per second, I guess, for those who play video games. It's just a little slow and choppy, I guess, but it's not very minor considering all the things. So that really wasn't a thing that bothered me as much in this adaptation of the show. And I think as I mentioned earlier, the mix of old and new I think is good and made sense, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're taking these characters and reshuffling them, changing things a bit around, and it makes it interesting and kind of makes sense of like, oh, this is why we're doing this in 2023. There's a reason to justify the show. Early on, I felt that way about it, and I did like that, and it made sense, and I was having, I was entertained by the show for sure, and this and that. And the last positive thing I want to say before I pass the baton is, once again, I watched the English dub, and I thought this was a very good English dub, because I personally think the original Trigun also has a very good English dub, and they have the original voice actor from that dub, John Young Bosch, a very famous American voice actor.
Thought I recognized him.
Yeah, he same actor from the original show. They brought him back to do this one. I think he's the only returning. Everyone else is a new actor, which is fine. I think even in Japanese, they have actually all new actors, which just doesn't happen very often in Japan. Japan, usually they make an effort to like recruit everyone from the old show for the new show. So that was interesting to see that I think that is true. I'm not 100%. But but he still does a very good job. He still knows how to play the character pretty well. And like I said, I thought it was a very good English dub. And in my brain, when I see the show, and maybe it's because of the Western, and I think of American Westerns, John Wayne and this and that. I guess I kind of expect English, and so when I saw it and heard it, I'm like, yeah, this is right, and nostalgia kicks in a little bit. So yeah, I those are definitely some positives about the show that I would try to convince people to watch it for those reasons, and then I'll have other reasons perhaps why not to.
To me, I feel like from watching the opening of this anime, which is no different than we remember the original old one, which was not like more gunslinging, more kind of like. More like, the car going wailing off.
Action pack, yeah. Huh?
No, like, no, this is more like, I think a little more tragic and more kind of like, more
emotional.
A emotional take on the story, I guess. Especially how his character is when we first meet him. And how, like, overall, like, you see kind of like, he's acts more youngish than like his old, the older anime counterpart is. Mm-hmm. But to me, I do like the fact that although all the characters are somewhat here, some of course are missing for obvious reasons. I feel like I still enjoy the show based on what it's trying. The show's trying to do. It's not trying to recreate 100% old anime. It's trying to do its own thing with what we know, information and that. and I kind of enjoyed the way how the way how the pace of story is, because it's only 12-ish episodes, right? It fits.
Right, it's much condensed because the
It's
original's
one of
26.
Yeah, you do miss the old classic, ooh, it's like like the episodic kind of feel of the old one, but we're talking a very dense. This is more story driven than maybe in cool actions, or episodic content, I guess.
Right, yeah, because the original was very more early, especially early on. It was very more episodic. It wasn't until the later half of the show it got serious and the story transitioned from one beat to the next.
Yeah. So overall, I feel like the show, the story is trying to tell, fits what it's trying to do.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I was surprised.
Well, there you go.
And because I guess I'm just gonna say how I felt about it, because I have not watched that kind of show in a long time. I've been romance,
just
romance,
a sweetheart over here, Ivan.
and it's like a little bit more romance, and so if it took me back to oh yeah, there is this kind of anime too, action. So I'm like, where things are at stake and that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was gonna enjoy it. I'll get more deeper into my thoughts when we get into spoilers, but I guess that was my initial feeling of it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was gonna enjoy it, and I liked, I guess, kind of like the cliffhanger feeling, how everything was just kind of going. It was just so how you mentioned that the old Trigun was episodic, which I'm not saying I mind that at all, but this one was this happened this episode, what's gonna happen next episode?
It's very much continuation.
Let's go. So it's not something I generally will like, but I did like it how it worked in this show. And yeah, that's how I felt about it in a general sense.
All right, I guess I'll go next. I also did like it more than I thought I would. Even though I like to go into things with an open mind. I did not think they would do such a good job. And this is probably going to be controversial. I like it more than the original.
Oh.
Well, all right, you've invoked your past on the English dub. I'm sorry, Frank. I'm going to tear that up.
Now it's time can't wait for the spoiler part to see how that one makes sense.
Oh. Whoa. There's a fight here.
Like, no, everyone wants to tear it up now.
All right. So, to explain that a bit,
please do.
I tried watching the original before I watched this one.
And
I couldn't hang with it. It was just like, come on. This is like... And I don't know if it's because I knew what was going to happen. I've seen the original in multiple times in English, multiple times in Spanish. So I've seen it a lot.
Right.
So I don't know if it was that, or I don't know if it was just my personality change and I'm not cut out for that slow pace anymore.
Right.
But I do think that if they remade the original with, today's budget and, stuff like that, that the original would be better. Like, I would like the original better. But, so the way I guess I could kind of explain it is, it's like trying to, say a game for Switch. Say your favorite game was on Atari, and then you compare it to a Switch game. It's like, there's a big gap in...
True.
And it's not just, that it looks nicer. I think it's also, in my mind, because I was talking to Ivan before the podcast that I like the pace, and for him it was too fast, but for me it's just fine because right now I got a lot of stuff to do, so I can't wait. I can't wait for
episode 89.
Where's Knives? Hurry up, Knives! Get your ass out here.
Yeah. So I liked it. I watched it in dub again. But this one I also watched in Japanese because I was watching it on Hulu and they only had it in Japanese. And then I watched it on Crunchyroll and it just forced me to watch it in English.
Our favorite app.
And I found that Vash sounded wimpier in Japanese than in English.
Yeah, I agree.
And I hated the voice of Knives in Japanese. Especially, just maybe not his voice, but that one part where he goes, Vash. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
In English, it sounded like, because in Japanese, it sounded annoying to me, kind of like, was he like going for overly crazy? And in English, he just sounded evil. Like,
that's what I remember about the original. They really make Knives like very like over the top and like, I guess, extra crazy, I guess.
And to what Miles was saying,
was that a Dragon Ball thing?
No, I couldn't remember his name, so I was looking at you to see if I messed up.
I'm Miles, in case you're wondering.
Yeah,
The host of the podcast.
That's Ivan. That's Ray.
Earlier when I was talking to Ivan, I referred to you because we were talking about Bueller. I was like, him.
That guy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember
Well,
his name.
it's my time, son.
All right, my bad. All right, so I don't like the original opening. I think it's
Once again, it was nice having you on the show.
Wow, just make enemies left and right, huh, Frank?
just
And what's your phone number again, Frank, so everyone can know? Email address, where you work.
That's Frank over at the dog.
That's that guy right there.
I do want to say something though. I am one.
You're
of those,
wrong, but instead of that, yes. What else you got?
I'm one of those hardcore like hand drawn animations. Like I consider those like very precious. So I did enjoy the new animation, but when I look back at the old hand drawn with those dark shades, I'm like, like it just looks gorgeous to me. Even I think that's the only thing where I don't want to diss on the new one by saying that the old one is better. Like I think it's like a preference ultimately, but the old that 96 is 96, right? Trigun
98, I want to say.
98. And so that was like when you see those kind of shades and those colors, and even the intro. I know like maybe you say you don't like the song, but like the visuals, you know how there's that one where he had like the glasses, like they're shining, and like his coat. It looks very Spawn-ish.
Yeah, very 90s as fuck.
Yeah, so those are the only things that will like say like I don't want to say that this is better than this newer one, but like when I look it back and I look at those visuals, I'm like Trigun.
yeah. I would say you have to watch I mean, you don't have to, but I think the proper way to. I think it wouldn't have the same effect to me if I didn't watch the original one. Yes, the song is the only thing I don't like about the opening. It's not about what happens and stuff like that. More about the opening. I like what it says. I don't know if any of you read the lyrics, but I thought it was pretty cool. Like it kind of fit the tone of the show.
Well, that's what I was saying is that I felt like, to me, no, you kind of have to separate the two.
Yeah.
I feel like, obviously the 90s Trigun, is cool in its own right, has its own way. It's kind of, you never Trigun being more like, action packed, the 90s looks, things like that. But obviously this one's just, it's trying to do something different. The way how like Vash looks, I know that was very controversial to a lot of people. But but obviously because it's not the same guy, this is a whole different story. So that's why, like the opening, it's more haunting and more kind of, he's him always running away, trying. No, he's not just. It fits the theme of the show more.
Yeah.
Same thing with the ending. I thought that was really good. I think I like the ending more, and I feel like I think it was you that mentioned that Miles. Like I haven't forgotten. I just. That it was that someone said that it was emotional.
Emotional? It was me.
No, okay.
Someone here.
Someone in this room.
That's Ivan.
Person on the podcast.
The person with the face.
I didn't.
And eyes.
It's a lovely face.
Yes, but I think with Rem, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it with Rem.
Feel what now?
The emotion.
Oh.
Yeah, I can see that he cared about her and everything, but I don't know if it's because I was missing that song, or it's just they didn't do a good job of making her more impactful on me. So that's one thing I want to mention about emotion. And the heck did I write? Yeah, I wrote something, but I don't know why I wrote it.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get down
But
to
yeah, done.
the,
All right.
the gritty.
All right, so I think it's time for spoilers. So once again, if you haven't finished the show, now's your time to hit the pause button. You want to hear the outro of the podcast, look at the timestamps down below. So here we go. Spoilers for Trigun Stampede. So I guess, since I'm talking, I guess I'll talk about my problems I have with this terrible show.
Your problems are spoilers?
I mean, kind of, yeah, because like I said, and it's true when Miles says it's not the same show, but it's just one of those shows we know so well out here. If you used to go to Japan, you say Trigun, you'd be like, who the fuck's Trigun?
Yeah, we did so well. We made a new show, a new movie for us.
Us Americans and everyone else, we made a movie happen like a decade after the existence of the original TV show. because how popular we liked it out here. So anyway, so like I said, I think it's just hard. It's not fair to make the comparison, but it's hard not to make the comparison at the same time. So let's see what
What for Star?
So
Easy.
let's see here. I really don't hate this show, but I just have like more questions, and I'm hoping maybe someone here to help me out. I once in a while I was getting nervous because I was trying to think, oh no, we're doing the Cowboy Bebop live action thing where we're explaining anime nonsense, and it's like, oh no, if you've done you fool, what have you done? The more you bring up the attention of the stupidness of anime, you're defending nonsense and you're losing the battle. My example of that is being Knives. For one, his name isn't Knives, it's Nye. He gave himself the name Knives because he thought he was trying to be edgy and cool. It's like, okay.
Well,
Oh,
but the thing is, I feel like it's kind of like you mentioned, like we always, Cowboy Bebop was like, no, the fearless thing, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's the easy comparison to make.
I
I didn't catch that. I
Yeah.
did see it, but I'm like, it just didn't read.
Right, because and I looked and I paused it on screen because on the screen they look on the computer system where they show the names, and his official name is Nye, and that's why he keeps calling him Nye all the time. It's not like a nickname; that's his real name. But then he gives himself the name Millions Knives
see.
to justify that stupid name.
I thought his name was Knives, and the name he gave himself, like, I'm doing quotes,
Mhm.
is Million. I thought that's what it was, but I didn't catch that it was Nye.
Yeah, Nye, and so part of that, so it's like we have to justify a stupid name like Knives, and then two, to really help explain the stupid name Knives, we'll give him Knives, and it's just like, no, no one cares about. No one ever thought, why doesn't he carry knives? We're just like, oh, he's this crazy evil twin brother wants to blow up the planet. That's good enough for me to stop him, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, I have a question.
Go for it.
In the original, what was Knives' intention? Like, was it the same?
basically the same. In this version, they try to justify him a little bit more.
Yeah, they kind of give him like the warmonger. No, iron.
Well, because I don't remember him having any.
Killmonger?
Yeah, Killmonger. They kind of give him like the Killmonger.
Yeah, they try to do a little bit to make him make more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember in the original Knives having a good reason to do what he's doing. It was just, oh, I'm bad. But maybe I was just,
So what I remember, like I said, I haven't seen the original Trigun in like 10 years.
I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, and it's true. When I did want to watch this, I did want to go back to watch the old Trigun, but at the same time, and same to you, Frank, it is a much slower pace story. And as we talked about before, the first half is very episodic. Vash goes from town to town doing these like little miracles. And then eventually at some point, Knives and his go-ho guns show up. By the way, where the fuck are they at in this one? And we'll get to that also, justify that in a little bit. But anyway, what am I getting? So many things that fly in my mind. So in this one, they explain Knives is like, oh look, they're using our people for plants and this, that. And they say that in the original anime, but it's like a quick, he says it and like, that's it, and justifies it. Because in the other original anime, they basically do like a whole almost like alien thing where they hang out on the cruise ship, and then Knives slowly starts killing the crew one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but his justification is like, and it's similar. It's the same answer really in Stampede. Is like, well, I've looked at human history, and they keep repeating the same history. They're just a bunch of crazy, violent animals, and we're better than that. When we're superior than that, Vash. We're better than that. Just kill them, Vash. So, speaking about flashbacks, I guess that's my biggest problem. Is I don't know. I thought that was a dumb decision to like spoil. The first scene is they show like, oh, where we came from space and this and that. This is what happens. Because in the original show, it's a much slower burn. You slowly figure out what's happening, what Vash is and who he is, and the story behind Knives and what's all this thing. But here they just kind of tell you really quick. But then the show goes like, oh no, but it's a mystery though. And it's like, what mystery? We saw it happen. What are you talking about, stupid? So it's weird. They're trying to put the genie back in the bottle, and they took it out like the first 2 seconds. So I thought that was a very foolish idea, and that made no sense to me why they would do that.
Especially for new viewers.
Yeah, and it spoils that for new viewers, and like it doesn't do nothing for us as the old viewers. Like, oh, I know what happens, so it made no sense. Like, it doesn't do nothing for old, doesn't do nothing for new, so why do it at all? So little silly decisions like that kind of annoyed me, I guess, watching this.
Something else that kind of annoyed me too. I don't think I mentioned this. It was not in the podcast, but I was mentioning in one of my favorite episodes, all-time favorite episodes, was when Vash reveals himself to, what's her name?
Meryl?
Meryl, and because she didn't know who he was Vash. She's like,
Right,
it's
right.
not Vash. That's not Vash. That's one of my favorite like anime top moments of all time.
It's a good one.
And this one was like, oh, I'm Vash, and they already knew, and that was also very anticlimactic, where it was just like, oh, like here I am.
Right.
And one of my biggest pet peeves is just how wimpy he was. He was just because the old Vash was like laughing or not laughing, but like, oh, I'm scared, oh. And then
Yeah.
the whole thing was that when she was Meryl, when she was thinking about it, he's always like not getting hurt. He's always not, somehow not getting, like,
right. He's like subtly like a badass, but he doesn't do it in a very badass way.
But this Vash was just wimpy.
Yeah.
He was just wimpy, and that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. Like in characters, like I want him to come through. I want him to, you're the hero, and he like he just wasn't coming through, and it was like irritating me. But I still felt like the story was like carrying it, and that's why I feel like the anime intro you mentioned is more emotional, more like it kind of fit the story because this is not the other Vash. This is this Vash that has like a lot of turmoil inside of him,
Right.
And he's like trying to like
Well, he's trying to hope for the best. That's what I figured. Like he's trying to, I'm going to save everybody no matter what. I'm going to, because he obviously just gun as much. If everyone noticed, so he kind of just like he's always trying to dodge, trying to save people, trying to avoid conflict because he wants just to what's the best outcome is that I could do everything. Just give me a minute. We could solve everything. We don't have to resort to violence like Knives does.
But that's the thing. Like only that first episode when he shot the rocks was the only time that he kind of shown a glimpse of like the old Vash,
Right.
Where because the other times he was just mostly running away. The other Vash, because in the very first episode of the original Trigun, he runs away, but he comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this Vash wouldn't really do that. I mean, he was just kind of scared the whole time.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that did bother me. And it honestly, the guy that kind of held that action a little bit more together was
Nicholas.
Wolfwood.
Yes, because he was the one that was like,
Right.
and Vash was just, I don't know, it was just that was weird to me. It just didn't.
I do have something to say about that.
Oh, and something else as far as spoilers, this whoever made this show, it was so funny how they added things they like. They added Avatar, the plans for Avatar. They added Majora's Mask.
Where?
That worm guy.
Oh, okay.
That was Majora's Mask. They added a Mad Max.
Oh.
It's like they just added like all these different
Things they enjoy.
Then they just added it to the show, and then Knives at the end was Sephiroth from Final Fantasy,
Pretty much.
with the one wing. It's like,
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Too.
Uh-huh.
so I was like watching all these things. Oh, look at you clearly were inspired by this.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was funny.
What was I gonna say? So yeah, my other complaint, and similar to yours, Ivan, was the piggyback off is the idea of this Vash. I don't like him as much because similar to you, of he's trying to be a pacifist, but I feel like in the original they do a much better job, and there's more time on screen, so of course it's gonna do a better job. So that's the reason why. But I guess I wish they tried to do a little bit more of explaining or showing he's struggling to do the right thing without getting anyone hurt, but failing miserably, because that's what happens in the original. He keeps eventually it catches up and he can't save anyone, and I like that aspect because like that's just how life is, sadly. So I feel like they try to do that here, but it doesn't stick or land as well as the original. And despite it's pretty much the same theme and character motivations and this and that and struggle he goes through. So I kind of wish there was more of that, but like I said, time constraints and. Yeah, just overall, it is the condensed, like trying to do the greatest hits almost of the original Trigun, do it in 12 episodes, and then cut out the episodic stuff and focus on the Knives stuff. But then even they do a terrible job with pacing and editing. So because they have what was his name? The blue-haired dude from the original? I had it popped right in my head.
Oh, the guy that can control...
You can control things like the puppets.
Yeah,
that bad guy. I call him Evil Kenshin because it's the same voice actor who plays him in English. Anyway, so he shows up, but like he just disappears. He rides into sunset.
He does, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. And then of course it makes me wonder about the other Goho guns, which I thought was like those were cool, freaky guys that are kind of there, but not really in this version, which I thought was like kind of a missed opportunity because I think. My favorite thing about Trigun is just the character designs because I love his artwork. and I feel like we're leaving a lot of good stuff on. But I know supposedly there's more of this show coming in the future? Question mark. They said I think today, so maybe we'll get more of that in the future. But I don't know. We don't know if it's a TV show. We don't know if it's a movie. We don't know if it's like a one episode OVA. So I don't know if we're just gonna leave all that behind. I feel like that's a missed opportunity if that is the case. But yeah, it's hard because like I said, the original's 26 episodes. This is 12 episodes, so things are gonna get cut, and it's just I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't. They focus so much on knives, and I'm like, do we need this much knives in our lives? Is my first question. I just feel like we could have lessened him, and he just could have been the crazy bad guy he was, and like the Western vibes are not really there. And then like the show is called Trigun. Where the fuck are the guns in the show?
Yes.
Where the hell are the guns?
They just kind of mentioned it that one time. It's like, oh, I see you're still carrying that gun, but the original Trigun, the guns were
right. The guns are this huge plot point in the original show.
Not this one.
It's
wait. What guns are you in the original?
Well, his gun.
Yeah.
Him and his brothers.
Well, you said Trigun.
Yeah. You mean what's the third gun? Is this the joke we're trying to go for here?
No, it's not a joke. Because
is there a third?
Well, I don't know if I was informed wrong, but because that's what bothered me about the original one. The third gun is never shown, and
I think it's a manga thing only.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Well, I mean, there's that. Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's even Trigun makes no sense in the original one. Now it makes even less sense because there's barely any gunplay at all in this version. And he's carrying the gun and like
there's the gun, the Nicholas.
Yeah, and I guess like I guess it's like all about the cross gun. And then I thought that was also weird. They changed them to I guess an Undertaker versus a priest.
So I feel like people are gonna lose interest because it's not Trigun.
Right, and But then what's the point of the show? Might as well just watch the old Trigun, save everyone some time and money.
Well, but that's the thing though, right? It's a weird spot, like because you see similar to the Cowboy Bebop thing, like we're going to do the greatest. No, we're going to do that scene, of
right. It's that famous thing,
or like Ghost in Shell. That's probably the better example,
right?
It's like here's a clear hits of things you've seen from the show, right? So but it doesn't make much sense when the movie's going on. But it's that scene you guys know.
Yeah.
I feel like they have to do enough so that way, people who know the original Trigun
they'll be like, oh look, it's the thing. Oh, be the meme and point at the screen.
Yeah.
Another thing I thought now that you mention it, this was like a combination of Gungrave and Trigun together.
I didn't think about that.
That's the impression I got too. Have you watched Gungrave, Frank?
No, I haven't.
So basically, Gungrave is bringing characters back from the dead, and that's what this show focused a lot in. So creating like artificial humans and making them stronger and all that. That's Gungrave.
Oh.
So the Nicholas, there's a character in Gungrave. They basically made him that character.
Basically, yeah.
So I was like, it wasn't really the same character from Trigun. It was more of a new version from the character of Gungrave. So it was like I got a heavy dose of Gungrave vibes in this show. Because that's what the show is. They make them into like these monsters, and that's what they were fighting a lot in the show. And in the other show, it just wasn't like that. It just wasn't like that. So it was. That's why I got a Mad Max type of vibe in this show. So, I'm not gonna say I hated it, but sometimes I thought it was a little funny that Nicholas is like this smoking cigarettes, and he's supposed to be like how old? 8 years old?
Yeah, something like that was which that's new to this one, right? That wasn't okay. That's what I was like, am I misremembering? Did my brain just auto delete that or what?
No, he was like a regular.
He was just a regular dude with a big old gun.
Yeah, and now in this one, he's like once again
a freak of nature.
He's like a Gungrave.
Yeah.
Character or
basically.
Whatever. But he's like talking like an adult. Is like I don't know. But it did have some moments that I was like I get that I got the suspense of it. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? And
right.
I guess like no one has really mentioned it, but the biggest spoiler is that it was basically a prequel.
Yeah.
And I dig towards
towards
the end. I kind of knew it was gonna happen.
Right.
Because there's like subtle hints. Like his bounty was a lot less.
It was only 1 million, not 1 billion.
Yeah. And then
July still standing is the giveaway.
Yeah.
But real quick. Why do the subtitles they call July GUI like AI, but then when they cut to the bumper when it shows the map of the world, it says July GULY?
Well,
What the fuck? Why?
Probably
Overthinking that one, boss.
Nah, I don't know. I feel like it's like I don't know. Maybe try to be.
Does someone own the rights to July? How does that work?
Yeah, so I kind of knew it was gonna be that moment where he blows up the city.
Right,
because
right.
He couldn't control his gun. So there was like subtle little hints, and I kind of felt, oh, I think it's going down this way. So when it did happen, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool.
Right.
But then there was that epic fan service moment where his hair was up.
Hey, look, guys, remember this design? Hey.
I was like, yes.
I was part of like they fucking did it. Yeah, they did at the same time.
So that was a total geeked out moment at that.
True.
That's probably the only time he started fighting, and started seeing.
But
more...
I think that's the point. I think at that point, he has to fight back now because it's the whole time he's trying to be at past. Like I don't want to know.
He doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to deal with knives and deals with that headache that is. But that moment, he realized, like he's losing Rem and everything like that, and all his memories, and somehow even though he lost most memories, it came back to him regardless. That's when he had to actually, he had to take knives out now.
Right, and that's exactly, and you could argue, and that's where episode 1 of the Ojo Trigun happened.
Even at the end, it says that episode 0.
Right, and exactly, they hint at that.
So it's. To me, like when that happened, because obviously, when come back last remember, it's like okay, he's gonna obviously he's gonna come back, right? And it's like, of course, when the old guy okay, so that when the old journalist guy he died, okay, okay, of course, no, it's like okay, I know where this is gonna pan out now.
He wasn't bad.
No, he was fine. He, like I said, I think he worked for the story. He was a good, and he was literally a brand new character, and it was a good change that made sense.
And then the day, it's kind of like a prequel, but also kind of doing things differently. But no.
Yes,
it's like an alternative world prequel.
Yes, which is interesting.
Yeah,
because I kind of wish that maybe they would just had a whole brand new cast and just been a straight prequel.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, as I said, it's a prequel of a retelling.
Yeah, a prequel reimagining. Who the fuck came up with that idea? I don't know, Frank. How don't you talk, Frank? It's your show, Frank. You made Trigun.
I've been waiting for my turn, and then I'm like,
you got to be aggressive here, Frank. Gotta fight for
cross that out because you said it, and then. So yeah, I guess I'll start with what we were just talking about, the prequel. I got the sense the Final Fantasy VII, and
I also do not spoil this for me.
It's probably inspired by Final Fantasy VII because of that wing that came out at the end.
Okay. You got me nervous there. I need to get to it. I'm gonna get to it, Frank. I'm gonna get to it. I swear.
So I felt like this was a prequel. I got that sense, but I never try to figure out what happens. So I'm like, and it happened to be true. But now listening to all of you talk, it kind of came to me like this was Trigun if the story was not about Trigun, not about Vash. So like it was about everybody else. Like, I get to learn about the people around him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. I get the complaints about him being wimpy, and I thought the same thing. But I think I told Ivan that it reminded me of Batman. The newest Batman.
The newest Batman. The Batman.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then at the end, it kind of clicked for me because it was like he was still learning what kind of person he wanted to be.
Right.
And I feel like this Bash still was learning what kind of person he wanted to be.
True.
And yeah, at the end, it's like, oh, I need to be Batman. Oh, I need to be Bash. So I'm gonna start combing my hair up and
bring out the spikes.
Yeah. So that's when I saw the ending, I was like, oh, this is a prequel. Now now I'm okay with you being a wimp. If they don't make a season 2, then yeah, it's bad. But if they make a season 2 and he starts acting more like the Bash we all know and love,
right.
Now it's like, okay, it's understandable. You had to go through that, rough patch. Like not everybody's perfect.
Right.
So it would make more sense to me now that
that's true.
That's like it's acceptable. But they have to
are we gonna get that
they
season
have to
2?
address it.
Yeah.
So for me, there's hope. So what needs to happen for me in season 2? He needs to keep the hair up.
Get the gel and keep using it.
Who's the studio? We need to send them a letter. It's like, dear, what's the studio? Whatever.
Orange. It's Orange.
Dear Orange Studios, hair must be up.
Don't forget, bring out the comb, push it back. There you go.
Please, no more wimpiness. You know,
Suck it up.
I think it would
Use
symbolize
the gun more often than never.
It would symbolize him, being
Right, it's a transition.
I'm
yeah,
ready
yeah.
now. I can joke around. I'll come back and stuff like that.
Right.
2, his arm is really cool. He needs a gun. On
Yes, I forgot about that.
He had like a rope. But
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you need a gun.
Yeah, you can't shoot with that. How are you gonna kill anyone with that?
If they didn't have the machine gun in the original one, so I wouldn't expect that yet. Said that Millie Thompson was gonna come out.
Right.
I thought that was cool, but I mean, they changed a lot of stuff, so it's not like we're not gonna have the exact same thing as the other one.
Right.
But I think it was, I think that I felt more connected to this one because, maybe for Ray they try to explain things too much, like knives. It didn't bug me as much. I think it's more of a you problem that you noticed it. So it's like
I notice all these dumb things.
So it's like, okay. So his name is Knife. It's a little, broody, but I do think Knives is a stupid name too. Like,
it is, but that's what. You just say his name is Knives, and you go what? And then you just laugh and go, all right. Which is once again, it's so weird. It's a mystery. We're gonna save it to the very end or give you the details, but we're gonna show you in the very beginning too.
I do have something to say about that. I felt that, and this is not much of a spoiler for 7. I felt like parts in 7.
La 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 la.
No, parts in 7, they kind of assume you've already played 7.
Right.
So I feel like this was the same thing. Like they assumed you already watched it.
Which is true, which I don't like.
But you know what I say? Screw the new viewers. This is for me. I like it. Like, if they haven't seen the original one, then
right. And that I kind of like
that's on them.
I kind of wish, like I said, they stuck to. They came up with more original ideas and just said, "Fuck it, we're doing our own." It's similar but very different. But I feel like they were too scared to step too far away from the Trigun's 98 shadow, I guess.
But that kind of doesn't make sense to me, like what you're saying. Like, so you wanted them to make something not Trigun?
Like I said, the inclusion of the Robert De Niro character, I think, is a great inclusion. But he is like the one original concept that I noticed. And then I guess the worm people, I think. I don't remember there was a worm people.
No, that's new.
I thought that was cool.
So that was cool too. I guess I wanted a little bit more of that kind of stuff to make it. They are different, but I want them to be a little bit more, not obviously not, not completely different, because then what the fuck's point of calling it Trigun anymore? But I just a little bit more to make it feel like, they're confident with themselves, like, this is what we are, this is what we're doing, boom, here it is, and just, slap it on the desk.
So in a way, what I think you're trying to say is it should have just been a straight prequel. So like characters like the Meryl wouldn't have been there.
There's a thing about that. That's also a popular.
So it would have been just a straight prequel where like it's that event that happened before, but once again it's like a retelling that already has these characters. But I think that would have been interesting where it would have been just a straight prequel. But if they would have done that, then we would have not known the what a twist moment.
Yeah, right. It's also true.
So that's why they did want to have them. But I think that would have been cool too, because I was kind of hoping that towards the end when I kind of realized it was going to be a prequel, I was hoping that maybe like she was frozen or they get frozen in time or something. You know how like they can get like
Fuck, it sounds like Kingdom Hearts now.
you know how people
and you won't remember any of this or who Sion is, Roxas. It's fine.
Yeah.
Off to bed with you. Have a great summer.
And then they're like back whatever years, because wasn't that event a long time ago? The one where he blew up the city? It wasn't just like 2 years, right?
In the original?
In the original. It was
there was some time in between, something like that, like a year or two. Yes, that's what I remember, but it's been a long time. But
okay,
because it's not until later into the show you realize what happened in July.
Okay,
and that's what I remember because the original, like I said, it's a very slow burn, and very towards the end they finally like explain how things go and how the world is and how it became. Because in the beginning it's like, the human-eyed typhoon, he destroyed all of July. How could he? And then the mysterious, like, because they don't even explain who Knives is for the longest time in the original. They just said, and in the town square in blood, it just said, Knives. It's like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Whoa!
Yeah.
Has anyone finished the manga? Read the manga? I try to like read it, but it's harder to read.
It's very hard to read. I was telling this to Frank before the podcast. I tried to read it way back in the day, obviously closer to 98. But it's very hard to follow the action sequences. And I would stare and look at the panel, and then like being like, should I? And then I'd flip the book left and right, upside down. There must be a way to read these panels, but my brain isn't processing it. It looks amazing, but don't ask me how the fuck it's supposed to. What's happening? It looks cool though.
I do know that he does go evil for a bit.
I remember something like this.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
I need to read it.
I do. Yeah. It is funny watching this. I mean, it can be terrible because here we are talking about. It makes me go to watch and read the other shows, so it's doing something right? The synergy, baby.
But as I said, overall I feel like I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to enjoy.
True,
it.
that is very true.
Well, to finish off some of the things that I was gonna say, you guys said about that evil Kenshin guy, the blue-haired guy.
No, what was it?
Something Remy? No,
no, it's Rem. Did you know her name is Rem? What was it? Save Rem. I was like, what the fuck? Was that always there? And I just didn't catch that because all the time it was always Rem. And it's never had another name. And like, wait, what?
That was straight up on your nose.
Oh,
the Rem save me or something like that.
Yeah, literally. And it was just like, you're kidding me, man. You're kidding me.
I do miss the Rem song.
Oh, there was no relationship between Vash and Meryl. Like when she was calling him.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Like they
haven't done shit.
Yeah, did they even talk? Did they even? I mean, they were in the same
She'd been
car.
Wolfwood. Get up, Vash. Get up, Needle Noggin. Get up.
She was only talking to Robert De Niro the whole time.
Yeah, basically.
They didn't talk.
It makes no sense.
They talked a little bit, but you don't remember?
No.
Basically, the first episode.
Scene, remember?
In the first episode, when she finds them.
Oh.
And
I mean, they do talk, but like it's very.
But I can see your point. Like,
but not enough to get to that level of reaction.
They want the big anime drama moment, but like it doesn't make sense. But then I mean, well, fucking Dragon Ball. But Gohan, you gotta save him. Who the fuck are you?
One thing that I did not like was the ending fight. I mean, it was beautiful. But
it looked great.
The one thing it's just a small thing is that he kept shooting at Knives, and I'm like, do you really think that's doing anything?
Yeah, it was very silly. It made no sense.
It was cool. It looked cool, but I'm like, come on, you're just wasting.
Well, it's like now you're using the gun.
Well, I think it was trying to show like his determination, because he kind of wasn't. No.
But once again, like the Trigun, his gun meant something.
It's all about like it's all cool gunshots and play and this and that and it's like he's just like. I got this 8-shooter, by the way, apparently now. That was something I saw in episode 1. I went, I had a double take. But then it's like, really? This man's got 1 million knives and you're going to shoot 8 rounds of a handgun at him? Good luck.
But the reloading was cool.
They finally brought I don't forget what you call it, but the ones where the bullets are all racked up, ready to go. Mm-hmm. And I was like, because that's what I remember a lot from that show, having the instant reload, if you will, and like it is until the very end. So it's like we kind of got it, but at that point, like so many things are happening, and like that gun is almost pointless now, especially against fucking millions knives.
But that gun, he had like a regular gun, right?
And there was nothing special about that gun. It was just a gun.
Because in the other show, he had like
it's his special arm cannon gun that they have that Knives makes for both of them. But now it's just some random gun he found on the floor.
I wonder if Knives is coming back.
I mean, you would assume he is if it's a prequel, right?
Because isn't he assumed dead in the original?
In the original, he's assumed dead for the longest time until he realizes, like, and it's like, I've been the whole time been manipulating you. It's actually the better James Bond thing. It was me the whole time, Vash.
Well, what I was gonna say about that evil Kenshin, I think they didn't give him enough screen time.
Yeah,
because they're planning second one.
Right, and
along with those other guys that you missed.
Yeah, it would make sense, but almost to a point of like, why even introduce? If they're gonna introduce him, might as well just give him like a quick cameo or something.
Yeah. Well, they kind of did. I think they argue that it is a cameo.
But it's a long, pointless cameo.
I did.
It should have just been a haha, and he will follow us, and then crushes a guy with his he has like a puppet thing. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was, right?
I feel like in the original he was like overpowered, and I'm like, why isn't he the last guy, and why is it Knives?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he really was like but I like that story beat in the original. We get to that. You got to make a choice, Vash.
Oh yeah.
And
I
then
will make you, what is it? I'm gonna make you suffer.
did that girl exist in the first one? The one that they found dead, or I don't know, the Tesla or whatever her name was, Telsa.
Oh right, I don't remember.
So I think that's a plot because both.
What happened to the homunculus girl, by the way, in the Stampede?
Oh yeah.
What was the point of that homunculus girl? Welcome to my powerful bioweapon. Ouch! Oh, all right, never mind. I'm gonna go away now. Bye.
What do you mean?
Remember the little kid, blonde-haired girl?
Yeah, the little girl.
She kills Robert De Niro. Like, what was the point of her? Welcome to my ult. It was like Full Metal Alchemist, and then they just stopped. Like, never mind. It's fine. He's a philosopher still.
That's what I'm telling you. That show had like all these elements
Yeah.
of like, and they're so obvious too. Like, if that,
There's just no time to do this show. It don't work.
That's what I'm saying. When the little kid had like the Majora's Mask. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, Majora's Mask. Oh,
Right.
Avatar with the blue people.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
plants. Like, oh, like
That's even funny. Even the Majora's Mask kid, like when he goes like, "No, we're moving on the plot beat. We're moving on the next plot beat. Come with me." Oh my god, they still right on my run. It's like reading the script. They
well-
do too much at the end.
I liked how I felt about the bad guys in this one, because usually it's like, oh yeah, they're bad because they want money or something, and I felt that, you know, at the end it kind of tied it together where the Majora's Mask kid, he was sort of neutral.
Yeah, exactly.
He
He's
even
just
said it
just
like,
watching.
who am I gonna side with? You guys that keep screwing up, or
Right.
this guy who's actually, you know, trying to give us a fair chance, or what made it seem like Knives. I could kind of understand him. Like, I would have probably done the same thing if I was him.
Right.
So that's kind of like, for me, when something is good, if I feel I would have done the same choice, and it's just like, maybe I wouldn't kill so many people out.
So you're pro genocide, Frank?
I mean, he could have done all those things without killing a bunch of people, but I would have still done those things.
Well, I think you understand his reasoning.
Right, no, I agree.
why
It's
he
just
went
funny.
there. But obviously,
A little bit of murder goes a long way.
But
just chopping off their hands and their heads.
But you know,
and
I mean, it's kind of like goes back to Fullmetal Alchemist,
Right, yeah,
where
it
the
may-
homunculus are like, do you care when you step on an ant?
Right, yeah,
And it's like-
exactly.
oh yeah, I remember that.
So I kind of liked his, and the doctor, who also reminds me of Fullmetal Alchemist doctor.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, man, someone really likes Full Metal, don't they?
He, I don't remember exactly right now, but he had a good reason too. Like,
Well, he's like there was a lot of, like I said, the editing. I was very like, they would jump from one scene to another scene.
the ending, like the last 2 episodes,
Yeah,
when
they just show up on the elevator. What the fuck was that about?
it was like Vash and Nicholas were somewhere, and then like, wait, what's going on?
Use the transmission. Come with me, Wolfwood.
I think what it was, they were like telling the story in 2 different timelines.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're not there yet. And, okay, fine.
But then they forgot to cut back to like how they just showed up, and it was just kind of like, huh?
And one part where it was really weird, it was when Robert De Niro and the girl, they're like, oh, they're coming up the elevator. I'm like, how do you know that?
Yeah, and they literally said quick throw line. Oh, I just had a gut feeling. What the shut the fuck up.
You know what that reminded me of? Terminator. Remember when he's like coming up the wheel too?
Oh, the very end.
Yeah, and so I kind of got that vibe where when I knew it was gonna happen, I knew that the elevator was gonna open and they're gonna show up.
I just thought, I was like, what the fuck? I thought they were trying to escape it. Wait, now they're here? How? What? It's an intertransmission? When?
And the final scene, I kind of liked the words that Knives said to Bash.
Right, that's good.
I thought it was like,
What did he say again?
because he was like, stop it, you're gonna die. And he's like, I'm already dead. And it kind of, for me,
You
it
killed me.
it showed that he cared about Bash
Right,
in his own way.
exactly.
And it was like
which is the appeal of the original show.
You killed me, man. Like, like we were this close, and you ruined it. So it's like, doesn't matter if what happens. I'm gonna do what I think is right. You go ahead, shoot me.
Yeah, they did do I mean, like I said, they did too much with knives, but they checked a lot of boxes in the short amount of time to make that relationship believable and good.
Bit of a side note, like when he was near the end, when he was kind of controlling Vash, and he gets in the pool with him, like, whoa, they're showing a nude scene. Like, what's going on? And I kept staring at like at his crotch, and I'm like, I mean, is this how they're proving that he's not human? And it took me a while to see
small,
like
huh?
he I'm guessing he had like a suit on.
He looks like a Ken doll.
Basically, I mean that's what. Well, they're not real people, folks. They're plants. So
I don't
they
know.
don't have penises.
I don't know if it's that or if it's just the suit, because it looked like they were wearing. Oh, he was wearing a suit.
Well, but there's nothing under their like arms and legs, right? I think that's how that works in this version.
What do you mean? Like,
Well, that's what because, or was it like because often they would show themselves, but then they're like they would show like the tattoo plant skinned, but then there was it a shirt or was that their skin?
I thought it was their skin.
Right, that's what I thought.
I think it's.
But then there's the scene later on where Vash takes off his back on Wolfwood and he shows like all his scars and whatnot. But he's like, it doesn't look. I don't remember it looking like human. I remember looking human.
Yeah.
But then in the other flashbacks and other scenes, they don't look like they look like fake dolls where like up to the neck is human and the rest is not.
I thought they had suits.
See, that's what,
I think it was two things. I think they're wearing suits, and then the other thing, if you notice when he kind of gets close to the plants, his face changes to that design.
Right.
So I think
It's just their underwear.
I think it's their underwear. Yeah.
I mean, that makes the most sense because I was very confused about that part. Like, I don't know if that's like the actual skin or is that a shirt, because it was very weird. But then also because it's CG 3D, it makes it. It's very obvious where the cut. You know how they designed it, right? And the head starts here, and then we'll just drew the. We go lazy and just draw the weird tattoo design and call it a day.
Yeah, I thought that was. I also liked how he lost his arm.
I was confused about that until they explained that later on. Like I said, I have to rewatch it. Maybe they explain it better.
Well, I probably explain because I feel like whatever happens, at the end with the Earth, whatever, right? Like it's.
Oh right, they tease, which I don't. That wasn't in the original either, was it?
Yeah,
But
Earth is long gone supposedly.
Yeah, so there's something that
changes be coming, I guess. Or maybe it's a manga, and that's the thing. Maybe the manga does all this stuff.
Are you talking about the ending where they were talking about something?
Yeah, the communication with Earth supposedly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, even they say Earth's been gone for years.
But apparently someone's still home? Question mark.
Yeah, but they say like they're coming. They're coming.
They're coming. Oh no.
So what do you think's gonna happen?
I think there's gonna be a second season.
Yeah,
I think there's gonna be a movie. I don't want to. I want there to be a show, but for some reason my brain goes like it's gonna be like a movie or an OVA. I don't think it's gonna be a full.
I think it's gonna be a
thing.
full season.
I want it to be, but we'll see.
But I meant like, what do you think's gonna happen in the story?
I don't know, because I mean, like you said, the Goho guns haven't exist or not really, so they could bring them out, and that could be a plot beat for a minute or two. I don't know because
Here's what I think.
it can't be too crazy because then it destroys Knives' point
I think Knives is definitely coming back.
for sure.
I think there's gonna be some sort of kind of like Naruto, where the with the moon Kaguya.
Oh no,
But
more moon ninjas.
But that's gonna be like, I think there's gonna be more of the other dimension stuff.
That would make sense.
I think
they open that kind of worms.
That might happen again, and there's gonna be a bunch of Vash and Knives type people. That's what I think might happen. Season 3, not this next season. This next season, I think it's gonna be.
You think there's gonna be 3 seasons of this to begin with?
Yeah,
You're a believer.
I think there's gonna be 3. I think next season is gonna be sort of finishing the original one. So it's gonna kind of have some stuff the same. They'll probably meet Knives again, and then this time he'll succeed, and then they'll do season 3 with the crazy alien stuff. Probably season 3 will be Earth or something.
As I said, in the manga, he goes evil at one point, so maybe they're gonna go down more of the manga territory.
Right, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Despite all the crap I gave it, I did like it. I would recommend people, though I'd recommend watching 98 more. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe hopefully we do get a proper season 2. But all I know is, once again, CG 3D is not something that they know how to do a lot of. And the only plus side, with 3D CG animation, once they have the models and stuff, a lot of the heavy work is kind of done, and they already kind of did the legwork doing season 1. So in theory, to produce more of this show should be easier in the future. But I don't know if it's because once again, Trigun's popular here, not so much in Japan. So I don't know, but maybe they're trying to sway people to check it out.
Well, they're trying to probably entice me to the Japanese market more for it than not being just for us. Kind of like
Right.
trying to make it more easy for them, like to enjoy, or to something for them to seek into rather than just like a look at this Western thing, right? But like you said, we'll see what happens because it's implied, but who knows when.
Right.
Ivan, thoughts on the future?
Yeah, I do think there's gonna be a second season. I kind of lean more towards the second season, but to be determined.
I'm
Sure.
saying 3 seasons right now, at least. And then the 4th one, depending on how season 3 goes.
Oh,
It's a franchise and then a spin-off.
Yeah.
And then in part 2, Bash's kid
Yeah.
takes over.
Yeah,
Side movies.
Trigun next. Trigun next.
Trigun Shippuden.
Yeah.
Trigun
I
Boruto.
was gonna say how do you borrow gun?
Yeah, I mean, it does sets it up because, if they can make more.
I mean, if it makes money and it's popular, sure. I mean, they're not shy to it. It's just
The part that made me laugh was when it looked like there was a bunch of pregnant. little things.
that was another like, well, all right. What? I mean, I guess.
Well, in I guess.
But it's just like
The way I heard, the way they phrased it was like, okay, hey, so the reason why Vash and Nye is different is because they have souls, and therefore that's why they're they're independent plants and whatnot.
right.
But then what is Knives doing? They're impregnating all of them, and like they're gonna give birth, and that's gonna
Well,
work.
they needs the power of them.
I thought
to make
I
the gate,
I
question
guess I
mark.
thought they were going to change them just to be independent.
I just think, oh, that's cool. They're all pregnant, but I'm like, but they're plants. They can't. That's not how they work. They're that's mammals. They're not a mammal. They're a plant.
Yeah,
It makes no sense
It
the more
was
you
very
think about
odd
it.
that I thought they're going to just turn independent, and that they're just changed to be more like them or something. That in my head, I was expecting the whole pregnancy. Like, why?
Well, the way I saw that was that
Someone's horny.
the plants have to be in the tank,
Right.
and he was trying to like make them so that they kind of like the homunculus, he can live outside. Yeah.
Right.
So damn, so many. So that's how I saw it. But they
Why
were
the preggers?
the way they did it, it looked weird. Like
the screen, because they're like flipped, like
Yeah, they're like,
you see like they're
Well, it's funny because I guess because you're hearing what's going on, you hear what he's saying out loud. Okay, I'm going to do this and this. I didn't see that coming down. I didn't see that. No, I didn't have visual. No.
some guy was like, oh, finally my time to shine. Yeah.
yeah, it was a weird shot. It was a weird scene.
I got this,
Yeah,
boss.
'cause
Don't
like-
worry.
'cause-
I got the scene.
Because you read the note and it's like,
So
oh,
they just need to connect all together, and it's like a life energy, okay, I don't want to, and like an umbilical cord. Well, kind of, yeah, something like that. Maybe I got you, boss. Don't worry, don't worry. On the final day, what the?
I did think it
That
was.
turned out working. He's like going like, the fuck is this?
And then, well, we don't have time to change it.
Yeah, put it. It's fine. Put it on air.
I thought it was cool the big plant woman that came out at the end, the purple one.
Fucking Ava.
yeah, Ava.
I saw that. I'm like, oh my god.
You know what I thought it was? I thought it was like because it was Vash doing that, right?
It was coming out of his body.
Yes. I guess
I
if that's
think-
the way to think.
I feel
yes.
like I'm like, oh, that's Rem. Like that's how I saw it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense, but
yeah.
also just that's Ava.
yeah, Ava. Yeah, when I saw that too, I'm like, hey, look at.
I laughed out loud. I was like, oh my god, fellas, we're not even trying to hide it. He just wanted to cut to a guy, like a kid with the white chick. Oh, geez, wow, I better get to my mech.
This was the greatest hit anime. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
it really
disguise.
was. Pretty much.
So I would also recommend it. But I would say watch the first one first.
Yeah.
Not a must, but I think it makes the experience more enjoyable.
Yeah, maybe if anything, maybe we'll actually watch this one first and then the original. Because it's at least, I feel like it'd be easier to not try
I
to
don't
make...
think so. I see it this way. I don't know if it was you or another friend when when I was trying to decide which persona to play,
Mm.
and it was like you gotta play it in 3.
Oh,
because
yeah.
once you go back, it's kind of hard, but going
True.
forward, it's a little easier to transition.
You might have a point there still. It's a tough one. But watch them both. There you go.
Yeah, it's all for everything.
Watch them at the same time.
There you go.
Wow.
All right, I guess that wraps up for this week's edition of the podcast. I guess tune in next week to see what we're doing next week. Oh, we're doing
part 2.
part 2, which is
I guess we'll do a preview of...
yeah. I guess it's like come back, guys, come back.
I
Please.
swear.
What is the name of the one I chose? Tomo-chan.
Well, if you don't know,
It's a good show, I swear. What's the name of it again?
I don't know the full title. I just know it's the Tomo-chan.
Tomo-chan
Is a girl? I think that's what it's called.
It's just a girl. You know,
Tomo-chan is a girl?
Yeah.
Whatever I said in the text is I officially got the official names
that's
out.
pretty bad. I don't. What show did I chose?
I swear it's good. And I swear I watched it, fellas. I just can't remember the name of it. Okay, buddy. Okay.
Yeah. And then I guess what I chose was saving 800,000 yen in another world for my retirement. Wow. So that's the one I chose, and I know it. I know the title of it.
Can you tell it's an anime, by the way?
Yeah. Well, like welcome to East yet again. So there's that next week. I guess without further ado, I guess we'll wrap it up for this episode.
We're gonna log out.
You're the host of your question. I think we're gonna wrap.
We can stay if you want.
I guess I'm trying to make a natural.
We talk about more 98 anime. How about Bebop? Let's talk about Cowboy Bebop. All right, children, sit down. I have a story to tell you.
Ray, say goodbye before we need to go.
Bye, Ray.
Say goodbye, Ivan.
Peace.
Frank.
All right, I guess if I have to. Bye.
Get the hell out of here.
See you guys next week.